There's more than that too. If you get the top of that top bag. Okay, shalom everybody. Hope everybody's doing well online in class. To want for everybody for tuning in. Before we get started, shout out to the Truth family. Cabo Cop in Guatemala. I'm Yatazar in London, England. The brothers and sisters that are students of Cabo Cop in California and in Atlanta and different cities around the country. Also, Stream of Wisdom, Houston. Shalom. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Quatazap. Stream of Wisdom, Rochester, New York. And the stream in Virginia. Hope everybody's fighting a good fight and staying strong in those cities. Today's class is titled Military Escalation in the Middle East, the Valley of Decision. One of the first things, this situation has been kind of starting and kind of building since October 7th. If you're going to deal with the literal scenario with that military group Hamas invading the land of Israel, I think it was southern Israel, on October 7th. And just when they came in and they invaded and they shot some people, they killed some people, and then these Israelis went nuts and went bonkers. And things were already escalating towards a global crisis with the war with Russia and Ukraine. This just kind of ramps things up. This has been going in a 2-year. It's crazy. We're going to go into the geopolitical aspects of it and what's been happening, and we'll try to go into what's been happening behind the scenes. But ultimately, this is the Most High who is in control of the minds of the leadership of this world, and He's behind all of these movements and actions. Okay? So keep that in mind also. The first verse I want to go into is Matthew chapter 24 and 36. Matthew chapter 24 and 36. So we have an understanding, even to the level and the realm of where we're going to go into, and the limitations, even as us as teachers, in trying to explain these escalation scenarios and what it means to us, and how these wars in the Middle East and in Ukraine, what does it have to do with Israelites in North, Central, South America, and all around the world, in certain parts of Africa and Europe. And even on the Far East also. What does it have to do with us? Okay? And then also, how accurate is what we're saying? Okay? Let's read that.
Matthew chapter 24, verse 36. But of that day and hour knoweth no man. No, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only.
Nobody knows when the actual day that Christ is going to come back. Christ doesn't even know. Only the Most High knows when this end time is going to come. So all we have the power to do is look at signs, stay tuned to the news. This is why, for young teachers, it's important to really know and have a grasp of all the geopolitical situations going on around the world. A lot of times, Israel wants to sit back here and just keep news tuned into the black man in America. And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with knowing about what's happening with our people in the United States. But there's a big world out there that you have to have a grasp of if you're going to really kind of know how the Most High thinks and how He operates. You have to know what's going on globally if you want to be more in tune with prophecy. Just being tuned into what's happening in Ghettoville, USA is not going to get you where you need to be as far as knowing where and how and when, what the signs of the times are going to be. Okay?
I want to pull a verse on that point real quick.
Okay, what you got?
Ecclesiastes 39 and verse 1, just on that point, explaining, in this particular work, Christ said that if you want to serve me, you have to serve Him in spirit and in truth. We understand serving Christ in the spirit is changing our inner man, changing our inner faculties that made us who we were before we came in Christ. But also we got to serve Him in truth. And part of that truth is identifying who's running the world, who's pulling the strings behind the background, and that would tie in straight to the prophecies. So, give me that in 39 and verse 1 real quick.
Come. Ecclesiastes chapter 39 and verse 1 reads, But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof.
And this is us. We give our mind to the law of the Most High. We give our mind to the way the Most High thinks and operates. But we don't just do that. We have to add on to that. Read on.
Will seek out of the wisdom of all the ancient.
And part of that is understanding the history. This is what the Sabbath class has been about these last couple of years. Seeking out the history, seeing out the understanding of the ancient back then, because you can see the correlation between how we operated then and how we operate now. Read on.
And be occupied in prophecies.
And on top of that, we're constantly occupied in prophecies. The watching for the events, watching how they correlate with current events, with the scriptures, and putting it all together. Not only for us to make sense for us, but also to disseminate it back to others. That's all I'm talking about.
Okay, that's perfect because when you're trying to sit back here and be occupied in prophecies, it's important that you sit back here. Oh man, did I do anything?
No, it's janky.
I didn't even touch it.
I know. That's what I was saying earlier. It's going in and out.
Okay. So anyway, getting back to the point. This is why we as teachers even put in the time and try to log in the time with reading different historical books and geopolitical books also, because it helps tie in a greater understanding as to when you sit back and kind of figure out how the powers that be in the United States and Russia and China, how they think, you can kind of start seeing how the Most High is working on their minds. There is a book in particular, I'm not going to read a whole lot in the book, but it's called The Grand Chessboard by Zbigniew Brzezinski. And it's an important book as far as geopolitically because it was written in 1997, right? And it was at the height of United States hegemony. And this guy was an advisor to Jimmy Carter. He was part of the Trilateral Commission with Henry Kissinger. So he had been, elbows, knees, all the way into foreign policy during the Cold War. He was there during the whole crisis with the nuclear bomb situation with Khrushchev, and bad pigs, but Khrushchev, John F. Kennedy, Khrushchev, yes, Chef, yes, tomato, but yes, Khrushchev. Thank you for correcting me on that one. But what are we saying? He was in the midst of all of the Cold War fighting, plotting, and scheming to take down the regime of Russia. But I'm just going to read one quick excerpt from the book because it is really early, but it kind of gives you an idea of the entire world. You can read all the yellow. It gives you an idea of the thoughts and the thinking of the entire world. And then we're going to kind of tie in what that has to do with the scriptures and the prophecy of today. So read that if you can. This is in the introduction.
The Grand Chessboard. Introduction. It's the last page in the introduction. It says, it is noteworthy that as recently as 1940, two aspirants to global power, Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin.
Now listen, Hitler ran Germany, Stalin ran Russia. Okay, read on.
It says, agreed explicitly in the secret negotiations of November in that year. You want me to skip all of it?
Yeah, we can skip it. Just read that part with each share. Well, just read the whole thing. Forget it. Okay.
It said, in the secret negotiations in November.
What I am going to need brothers and sisters to do is to kind of go online and kind of look at the map work too. Because in order to really paint the picture of what we're trying to explain, we have to tie in maps with this entire situation. Because if you're just talking, and I'm saying Libya, and I'm saying Lebanon, and I'm saying all these damn countries, it's going to be like I'm speaking Greek. So you got to have kind of an image to the message. So, tune in if you can. Okay, go for it.
It says,
volumes, please.
In the secret negotiations in November of the year.
Damn it. This will be the day it trips.
Of course.
Huh?
It says,
let's keep going.
That America should be excluded from Eurasia. Each realized that the injection.
Hold on, man. This is.
You want to move the computer this way?
I don't know if it's.
I'll just move it.
I think it's about the tension on the court.
Okay.
Less tension will be straight.
Okay, let's go.
So
read that part again.
It says, it is noteworthy that as recently as 1940, two aspirants to global power, Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin, agreed explicitly in the secret negotiations November of that year that America should be excluded from Eurasia. Each realized that the injection of American power into Eurasia would preclude his ambitions regarding global domination.
And what is Eurasia?
Well, here we go. This is Eurasia. We're going to go online. This is a picture of Eurasia. If you sit back here and you'll see Eurasia. Eurasia is all the way from Russia, parts of Europe, really Russia, Ukraine.
Ethiopia too.
No, this is Saudi Arabia. So all this is Africa.
Is that Eastern
Yeah,
Europe?
I'm saying is this the Horn?
Yeah, that's the Horn of Africa.
Yeah.
But that's not Eurasia. Eurasia is literally from the land of Israel. You go up. It takes you to around Ukraine, and it works eastward.
Okay.
And it's taking you all the way through China, North and South Korea. That is Eurasia.
Okay.
And Stalin, Hitler, even back in those days, understood that Eurasia was a land that they want to keep America or United States away from. Well, let's continue. I want more on that.
It says, each shared the assumption that Eurasia is the center of the world, and that he who controls Eurasia controls the world.
And this was an understood concept, not just in the 30s and 40s, but also in the beginning of time. They understood that Eurasia was an important strategic place. And if you had a control and a domination of this area, you could control the rest of the world. Okay? Yes.
Is that why the Most High gave Israel the land of Israel?
Well, yes and no. That was just the best of the land at the time.
Crescent.
He gave us the best of the land at the time and then worked his way out from there. But geopolitically, strategic-wise, power-wise, when it comes to dominating the world, maintaining the control of Eurasia was everything. Okay? Continue.
It says a half a century later, so this is what, 1990?
Yeah, we're in the 90s. Because the truth is, when he wrote this book, this is when America was on top. This is after they sat back here and went to the first Gulf War, and they had a strong foundation in the teeth of Eurasia. Russia had fallen. Their communism had fallen. They had sat back here and successfully broken ties between Russia and China. There was a reason in the 70s, Richard Nixon went over to China and had such great relation with China. Yep. The purpose was to do financial deals with them to break, they call it Sino-Soviet relations. Yeah. So even back then in the 50s through 70s, they were trying to break the power of Eurasia up. It's not necessarily having United States people in China and Russia. It was more about, can I keep the leadership weak in Russia? Can I make sure Russia and China are weak? That they're not united together at least? If I can keep China and Russia not together, then I can keep that area destabilized. This is why even in the 80s, the United States backed Saddam Hussein to go against who? Iran, to destabilize the region. Anyway.
And I gotta make one point too. And they're getting that concept. Oh, okay, cool. And that whole concept of Eurasia, there was a man named Mackinder. Mackinder's Heartland Theory, 1904. It says that Sir Hartford John Mackinder was a British geographer who wrote a paper in 1904 called The Geographical Pivot of History. This is the point he established. He who rules Eastern Europe commands the heartland. He who rules the heartland commands the world island. He who rules the world island commands the world. So it's already a concept since 1904 that part of the world is pretty much, if you can control that, you control the world.
And pretty much with the powers that be, they would take scholars and thinkers and writers and the greatest minds of the time, and they'll sit back and finance and back these writers to help bring about and to maintain the dominance in these different sectors of the world. So read on in what you got.
It says, a half a century later, the issue has been redefined. Will America's primacy in Eurasia endure? To what ends might it be applied?
It says, would America's primacy, meaning power, in Eurasia endure? Read on.
The ultimate objective of American policy should be benign and visionary, to shape a truly cooperative global community.
So that sounds all fine and nice. We're going to put together a global community. We're going to sit here and show so much love, so much consideration. We're going to bring all the people together, right? Read on.
In keeping with long-range trends and with fundamental interests of humankind.
Long-range trends, fundamental interests, all that is fluff talk, right? We're going to be all kumbaya together, loving each other. If I take it out now, it's gonna. I don't know.
No, I mean it's just gonna keep shutting off, man.
Listen, bear guys, I got to switch this thing out. This is lame, bro, and it's not even working.
Just keep it as is.
I think it's the actual port itself.
You looking keep it as is, dog. Just go out. Forget to play this all day.
All right, and you guys,
There we go. This
Yeah.
is line.
we're gonna roll, y'all. Listen, Diablo is in the house right now, man. So we're gonna roll. Diablo is in the computer. It's like, but okay. So what do we got?
It says,
So with all that little fluff talk about we're gonna come together and work together with all the people. What does it say at the end?
but in the meantime, it is
There's always a but.
Yeah.
We're gonna love American policy. We're gonna love the Chinese man. We're gonna
The
love the Soviet
humankind.
people. We're gonna love people in the Middle East. But
In the meantime, it is imperative that no Eurasian challenger emerges.
There you go.
this is still the thinking of the United States. There can be no Eurasian challenger to rise up and attack the unipolar hegemony of the United States. It's always been about that. Just because everything is masked under the idea of democracy and we have to sit back and eliminate these bad people, Putin and China and all these bad dictators out here that are destroying the world. It's about controlling and maintaining the hegemony of the United States and making sure there's nobody in the world that challenges them for power. Read on.
Come. It says, and it is imperative that no Eurasian challenger emerges, capable of dominating Eurasia, and thus also of challenging America.
And this is why it is so important that we understand what's been happening globally in general. There is a financial institution called BRICS. You have BRICS is an acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. That group of people, minus obviously Brazil, they dominate the Eurasian region. So Russia, for many a years since the early 2000s, has been establishing power and momentum and reestablishing relationships that were once broken with China, India. Now what's ended up happening is not only is BRICS consisting of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, very soon Iran's going to be part of BRICS, which is another major player in that Eurasian region. Saudi Arabia has applied for BRICS.
Ethiopia.
Well, a lot of African countries are applying for BRICS, which lets us know that stranglehold of Eurasia is now in full effect. Why did I go into this book? Just to try to show us why everything has been escalating, why the poor Ukrainians were focused on as being picked on by Putin. It wasn't about Ukraine. It was about destabilizing and weakening Russia. Even right now, as we start going into this situation now, the pretext is Hamas. This little band of soldiers that are flying on damn
Go-karts.
flying go-karts, Zach. They're the threat. Go-karts, lawnmower, and lawnmowers, Zach. or those big air fans, those boat fans, Zach. They're in boat fans, Zach. And this is why the United States has to send over 50 warships to the Mediterranean.
Nah, bro.
And we're going to go into that in a little bit. Over this small time ass group. And the first thing they say in interviews about Hamas, we have to take down Syria. Why in the hell does Syria got to do with Hamas? What? They're going at Syria. They ain't want Hezbollah right now. They want Syria and in Iran. They're attacking Iranian bases in Syria. That's what they're doing. That's their first target.
Is that Iranian?
Yes, they want Iran because they're the ones that once they're allowed free trade with Russia, China, India. Now they become a power they can't control anymore.
And they got a bomb.
Well, yeah, they don't have a nuke yet. But what they're saying is they're close to getting a nuke. However they want to spin it, it's about destabilizing the region. And Eurasia, this space, this area, is the focal point of how to maintain United States hegemony. If they don't break this and destabilize this area, then they're going to lose their stranglehold and grip over the world. They already have the peripheries taken care of. They have the Latin America. They have West Indies, United States, all the periphery countries taken care of.
Yeah.
Europe's covered, but they got to take care of this Eurasia area because this is what's giving them problems. I'm taking my time to explain the background of this, so when we go into these scriptures, now we understand how the battle lines are drawn and set up. Next verse we're going to go to is Joel, chapter 2 and verse 20.
Joel, chapter 2, verse 20.
This is why it's so important for young men to study. This is why it's so important for you to take the truth serious. This is why it's so important.
And I'm going to say this, and when it says study, you don't jump right into reading these damn books and you can't sit back here and break down verses, regular basic classes. You learn your basics first. You learn how to competently explain the basics.
The foundation.
Then you can sit back here after you've got your basics well put together. Then you can come back in and start dealing with prophecy and specifics and how geopolitics connects into society and into how it connects to our society and prophecy. Okay?
But the point is, if I'm not studying, if I'm not making changes, I'm going to get caught slipping as this little small pebble turns into a snowball. So the world's turned into a snowball. The momentum's building up.
And the momentum is, hey, listen, United States is not going out without a fight. They're wiping out. Russia's wiping out Ukraine. They got a couple more cities. When Russia takes out Avdiivka, which is one of their last strongholds in the east, they're really debating just shutting this shit down. They're talking about some peace scenarios. They can't win. They've already lost half a million.
He said
Half a million people are already dead, and the other men are already out.
Yeah,
they're losing. They can't handle it. So what am I saying? They're losing in this arena. Things are going bad. They have to sit back here and spark more fighting, more terror to sit back here and destabilize the region. So geopolitically, the United States is getting pushed into a corner where they have to make these decisions. So with that being the case, now let's go to Joel 2 and 20.
Joel, chapter 2, verse 20.
There's a lot of interest here. Good and bad.
Yeah.
So let's read that.
It says, but I will remove far off from you.
So the Most High said he's going to remove far away from us, from Israelites. Okay, read on.
The northern army.
The northern army is not just talking about the United States. It's the United States and its allies. The United States, NATO, Europe, all the United States allies constitutes the northern army. And it says, I'm going to remove far off from you this northern army.
Is that talking about NATO?
Yes. Yeah. NATO and all the allies of the United States is coming up, and he says they're going to remove far away from us. The crazy thing is this. It's a beautiful thing that all these wars are happening abroad, because it could have been in the United States all this thing is happening. But the Most High has been taking care of Israel as a whole and protecting us. All the fighting is in this specific arena, in this area that we're going to kind of paint the picture in. So from the top again, Joel 2 and 20.
Joel chapter 2, verse 20.
If I'm going too fast, let me know. Okay? If it's not making sense, let me know. So, read on from the top.
Joel chapter 2, verse 20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army.
And I must sit back and explain this. This verse in particular really deals with when the start of this escalation in this region started. And when the escalation started was in the early 90s when the United States invaded Iraq. Okay? Because you can't look at, when you're looking at these prophetic verses, you can't look at it as this is one day, one situation. This is an ever-evolving situation. Just like when we read last year, we went over in Ezekiel chapter 38 about how the hook was going to get pulled. Magog's hook was going to get pulled back to the original parts. That is a process of time that Russia is going to get pulled back to their original land masses when they were the Soviet Union. So when you're reading here about the Northern Army being drawn away and driven, this is not a 1 day, 1 year situation. This has been going on since the early 90s. Then it sat back here, calmed down. Then it went back up after 9/11. So the United States invaded Iraq 2004. They invaded Afghanistan, all those countries in that period of time.
Those birth pains.
Then it sat back here and went back down. Then it elevated again during the Arab Spring, during all of these regime change operations. So, read it from the top again.
Joel chapter 2, verse 20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army.
He's going to remove that northern United States army, and they're going to get removed far away from Israel. Read on.
And will drive him into a land barren and desolate.
That barren and desolate land is the Middle East. The nations, America, United States, their allies are going to be drawn to the Middle East. It's going to explain how we can explain this. Read on.
With his face toward the east sea.
Now this is what we're going to have to sit back here and look at it from the perspective of the Most High. He said, the face of these soldiers, the face of the attack, the face of the movement is going to go from one point all the way to the East Sea. So from the perspective of the fighting, it's directional. It's from wherever they land all the way to the end part, which is the East Sea. And we're going to sit back here and put this picture up about what the East Sea is. Take your time, look at it online, because this is how you start piecing this information together. I don't know if you see the picture. See this. The East Sea is the Sea of Japan. So the focus is from wherever they started, and the end is the East Sea, which is the Sea of Japan. So you got China, is all the countries in between are the countries that are involved in this situation, in this fighting, in this warring. Okay? So that takes you from, let's read the whole thing, and then we'll come back and we'll break it down. But the first sea, the first point of determination is the end part, which is the East Sea, which is the Sea of Japan, which got Japan, North, South Korea, Russia, and China, and India, and all the countries in between. Okay. It's giving you directionally who's involved, okay, and where the focus is. So we continue.
It says, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea.
And his backside is at the utmost sea, and the utmost sea is the Mediterranean Sea. The Mediterranean Sea is the utmost sea. Trying to find what picture I have. I think of this one. Okay, when you sit back here, the Mediterranean Sea is the utmost sea. Now what you got is, that's where their back is. Their back is to the Mediterranean Sea. So that means the theater of war is from Beirut, which is Lebanon, Israel, that whole, because Lebanon, Israel, they're all on the border of where? Of the Mediterranean Sea. So it starts from the Mediterranean Sea, and it takes you all the way to the Sea of Japan. So all the nations and people in between is the focus of this fighting and skirmishing that is being spearheaded by the Northern Army, which is NATO and United States and all their allies. Okay? Once again, it's still about conquering Eurasia. You look at the map. You got that Sea of Japan is taking you all the way to the end where North Korea and South Korea is and Japan is. But then it takes you all the way, it gives you the borders of Eurasia. This is why I started off with the writing from one of the heads of the United States think tank at the time. Because all these guys writing these books were part of these think tanks in Harvard. And the people with the money would take these guys out of the universities. They'll sit back here, spend money, help them do whatever they got to do to further their movement. They even have people in think tanks now that give simulations about, will United States win wars if they defended Taiwan?
Yeah.
They sat back and had people say, listen, can the United States win a war with all of our resources versus Russia if they went and fought in the theater of Ukraine? This is what they get the best and brightest of these Ivy League schools, and they use their minds to sit back and help elevate their purpose. So all these people they've been using to sit back and figure out how we can get a greater grasp and control of the Eurasian region. And because this is fluid, the United States had a power over the Eurasian region for a period of time. And this is why when Russia collapsed in the early 90s, their next stop was to take out Iraq. They had to sit back here, and that was how they could sit back and manage and control the region.
And this is why it's nothing is random. Maybe it comes across in the media when it comes to the propaganda as random.
And this is even the concept about it's not random. This skirmish happened 10/7/2023. You haven't even gotten full-fledged fighting yet. You know why? You have to set up your logistics. Everything's quiet. They're still bombing here and a little bit of fighting there, but it's not full-fledged. Because people can't just sit back and start fighting in 2 days. You got to get warships over. You got to get
Tanks.
Right now, it was said that 50 United States supply ships have been brought over to the Persian Gulf in the last 2 days. 50 supply ships. You have to feed soldiers. You have to bring soldiers over. You got to bring munitions and supplies over. 50 supply ships. They're setting up a war that's going to take some time. They're getting everything set up in preparation for a war. It just hasn't been official yet. So what you'll hear special forces going out in certain parts of the Gaza Strip, helping out the Israelis as they started off their campaign already. You have little skirmishes, little bombs in Syria, little fighting in Lebanon, little bombs in Lebanon, little things happening here and there that let you know everybody's prepping and getting ready. That's why it's still kind of quiet. You see the Palestinians and the Gaza Strip are getting bombed, and they're being attacked, and people are showing all the images of the bloody, messed up children. They're prepping you
It's about to happen.
for what's about to happen. Okay? So, read verse 20 again. I'm taking my time because I want to make sure I'm as clear as possible. I showed you that blank picture of Eurasia. Here's a real picture of Eurasia now. Eurasia is literally from Turkey on. All the yellow or the light color countries, that's Eurasia. And that's the focus of United States attacking and focusing on breaking the power and the unity between these nations. They're trying to break up Xi Jinping and Putin in Russia. They've said it numerous times on television. Listen, if we defeat Russia, China will fall back and get back in line. Most countries understand Russia's military power is giving everybody confidence to lean their direction. So like we can take out Russia, China will fall in line and just be business partners with us. And they'll choose our business deals over Russian business deals. India the same. This is even right now, they have skirmishes between Pakistan and India and Kashmir over a bunch of nothing. They're fighting over this land that they've been disputing since the 1800s. But that's neither here or there. Read verse 20 again.
Joel chapter 2, verse 20.
If I'm going too fast, let me know. Read on. From the top.
But I will remove far off from you the northern army, and I will drive him into a land barren and desolate.
That barren and desolate land is the Middle East. Okay? Whether it's Saudi Arabia, hell, Israel is barren and desolate.
Yeah.
They barely have enough water to sustain themselves. This is why they talk about Gaza and how the water is bad in Gaza. The water is damn near bad in Israel. The Most High has been cursing all the inhabitants that's taken our land with bad land, nasty water, little to no natural resources to function and feed off of. They're struggling in that country because the Most High has cursed that land. So that whole region is suffering. Okay, read on.
It says, with his face toward the east.
His face is towards the East Sea. You even see here the East China Sea, the South China Sea is all going eastward. It's right off the shores of Hong Kong. Okay, read on.
It says, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea.
So once again, the hinder part is the Mediterranean. So it's from the space of the Mediterranean Sea all the way to the space of the East Sea, the South China Sea, or the East China Sea. Okay, so that whole area is the land that's being disputed and fought over. Okay, read on.
And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up.
So you know what's happening? Since the early 90s and gradually coming up, guess what's been getting revealed? It says the United States stink is coming up. Their intentions are coming up. How they're being looked upon. They're not looked upon as this shiny, loving defenders of truth like they used to be. They're starting to see the corruption. Everybody knew that, well, I'm not going to say everybody. A lot of people felt that whole 9/11 thing was kind of a sham deal. A lot of people believed that. And then the pretense behind going to Afghanistan. The crazy thing is the Pakistanians had been telling the United States for years, hey, Osama's here. You want us to go arrest him and give it to you? No. No. We don't want you to get Osama.
He's already here.
We need him to keep sending troops out there to fight in Afghanistan, and then let's V-line back to Iraq to get all of his gold, all of his resources, to get access to his oil facilities, poppy fields in Afghanistan, natural gas supply areas in Afghanistan. But the truth is starting to come out, so his stink is coming out. His negativity, his planning, his scheming is getting revealed way more than they ever had been. Because the United States, the scripture says how the world marveled at the beast. You know how they marveled at the beast? How in the hell can you operate as an empire, taking out country after country, subduing country after country, but you look like the good guy?
In the name of freedom
and democracy.
In the name
but that is
equality.
That's what the world was amazed and wondered at. How the hell did you do this? And you guys come out smelling like roses every single time. The bully of Baghdad? That's insane. They don't tell you that Saddam was working with the United States in the 80s. And Saddam said, hey, these Kuwaitis are cross-drilling in my land. They're taking my oil from my land using cross-drilling methods. Listen, I need you guys to come and deal with this, or I'm going to come and stop this crap ASAP. Bush and them said, hey, we're not getting in the way of foreign affairs. Now listen, the cross-drilling methods were developed and taught to the Kuwaitis by the Bushes, who had their own oil companies. So they taught them the cross-drilling methods.
Started in America.
So then they sat back here, they were stealing Iraqi oil. He calls for clearance. Gets the clearance, then they say he's a bully. We got to go to Iraq and stop this guy. No, that was later.
Yeah.
WMDs were later, and United States security force people said, listen, there's no WMDs here. And those guys got buried. Those guys' careers got buried when they said there's nothing here. The fix was in. The fix was in. So, point is, but that didn't come out for like 10 more years. Or the interview on C-SPAN that tugged the heartstrings of the people. When there was this little Iraqi girl and she said, I was in the hospitals and the mean Iraqis in Kuwait were taking babies out of incubators and throwing them against the wall and hurting the children. What was crazy is they found out like 10 years later that she was like an ambassador's daughter. She was in the United States. She was from the United States. and she was an ambassador's daughter of Kuwait in the United States. And they told her, tell the story, tee her up, and paint the story like the Iraqis are bad guys. That interview got all the people all upset.
Propaganda.
And they said, you know what? We got to go to war now. That justified it. But what really happened later didn't come out till 10 years later. So that stink is starting to come out. It's harder to justify the colonialism because it's really still nation, huh?
It's neocolonial.
It's still neocolonialism, but it's masked under the defending of the good people of Israel right now.
Yeah.
When what they don't tell you, even with Hamas was used by the United States to try to break Syria during the Arab Spring. ISIS, Hamas, all these splinter extreme Arab religions Taliban. They're all financed by the United States and the CIA
The organizations, yeah.
because they're used to destabilize the countries that they're sent to. They just don't tell. Oh, the battle is ISIS, but we're paying their payroll and sending them weapons.
Yeah.
It's still wrestling.
But this is the
American
thing.
guns,
But
yeah.
and they use them. Some of those people are still in Syria, trying to destroy Syria now. The only thing they say to the Syrians is the King Assad called Putin and said, "I need your help." So Putin said, "Okay, I'll come for a price." So listen, Putin got some deal out of the deal to go make that happen. Point is, I'm trying to explain the theater of war. So even Hamas and the leaders of Hamas live in Qatar. They don't even live in Palestine or the Gaza Strip. They live in Qatar, and they're financed by the same authority of people that run Al Jazeera, which is the media company that set back and fed the Arab Spring in 2011. It was all financed and backed by the CIA. Now it's Hamas. They're the dirty, rotten scoundrels that are sitting back here and attacking the helpless, hapless Israelis. As it's all a front to sit back and initiate war. Listen, those people that are getting bombed, those children, it's like over 7,000 children that are dead in the land of Gaza Strip. All was for nothing. They had to be kind of justification to go take them out in Gaza. And then the United States is like, it ain't even about Gaza. I'm going at Iran. And we're going to retake Syria because we didn't get it in 2011. That's what this is about.
But the narrative is this is just as bad of a genocide as the Holocaust.
Hey, listen, the funny thing is, Netanyahu said on national TV, 10/7 is our version of 9/11. That lets you know the fix is in. If you're telling me this is your 9/11, I know what our 9/11 was. I know what that was.
And that's a code.
And that's damn right it's a code. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like, I got you.
We're gonna do it.
This is a game. So, once again, I think it's important to paint the picture and explain the whole situation before we move forward. Start at verse 20 again.
Joel chapter 2, verse 20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army, and I will drive him into a land barren and desolate.
This northern army, this NATO army, this United States-backed army is going to a desolate and barren land. Read on.
With his face toward the east sea.
His focus is from the land that he's at all the way towards the east sea because it's going to involve all of those people in that area. EC takes you all the way to the edge of China, and it takes you to North and South Korea because they're involved also. Japan also because they're an American ally. Japan's an American ally. South Korea is an American ally. North Korea is obviously Russian ally. China ally. The stages are set. Read on.
And his hinder part toward the utmost sea.
His back is towards the utmost sea because it's the land in between the Mediterranean and the East Sea. That is the theater of war. That is Eurasia. Read on.
And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up.
America's ill savor, yes.
No longer the shining, glorious face of freedom.
Even the United States is like, why are we spending billions of dollars in Ukraine? when we have a major homeless problem in the United States. You ever see those pictures on Twitter with like people in Phillyat? It's like zombie land in Phillyat. And all the drug abuse and addiction out there. Same thing in Oakland, Los Angeles. Skid Row is horrible, man. These Frisco, but it's like Oakland's even worse. Frisco's bad, and right down the way in Oakland, there are like 10 cities. There's 10 cities, all these places. We don't got money for that. We're gonna send $100 billion to Ukraine, so Zelensky can buy more homes. He got like 20 homes. I don't know if you knew that, right?
He's gonna be okay.
He's buying homes in his mama's name. Like your boy, what's his name? Because I still fly. What's that guy?
Manny Fresh.
Yeah, Manny Fresh today. Y'all better get my mama name. He's buying stuff in his mama's name, right? He's balling like that. He just can't have a paper trail completely go his direction.
Yeah, his mama's got the money.
His mom,
She
exactly.
got billions of dollars. Some kind of way.
Like that soccer player, that 100%. I was like,
yeah.
Congrats, smart man. Anyway, let's continue. So this America's saber has come up. Their foul dealings are starting to be manifested, and the funny thing is, they've lost their charm. Listen, Biden can't even get a meeting with Xi Jinping. These top end officials don't even want to see this guy. They're like, how come nobody wants to see Biden? They don't respect this guy. These people in BRICS aren't even really messing with Biden. Listen, you got Argentina wants to go to BRICS. The South American country want to go to BRICS. Iran wants to go to BRICS. United Arab Emirates want to go to BRICS. Saudi wants to go to BRICS. Egypt wants to go to BRICS.
It's going to change the global financial.
Well, and this is where the power shift is switching. Eurasia is coming together. They're even talking about saying, listen, let's do a global boycott against Israel. Let's not give them any oil. That's what all the Arab countries are saying. Forget these guys.
Are they talking about a currency?
They're talking about a currency too.
It sounds like all those companies they always want it. I mean,
They're not buying oil in the dollar anymore. Nobody's buying oil in the dollar. The global dollar is falling apart.
And we have
that's
a petrol.
why I
We're the
think
petrol dollar.
that money went to Ukraine because they got to keep that dollar relevant.
Well, it's not that. You know how you keep it relevant? Break Russia.
Yeah.
They're the problem. You got Africans walking around with Russian flags. What kind of shit is this, huh? They don't got a coat on in their name, but they follow a Russian flag somehow.
They'll follow
Like, what the hell? They don't got jackets, but they got Russian flags? I'm being honest.
But they'll
I don't know about that. That's hearsay about the jacket thing. But they walk around, Russia, save it for us. And they're doing that. Anyway, that's the truth.
We got to explain also that China's been heavy in Africa also.
Yes.
And that's been a major challenge. China can pull a lot of resources from Africa.
And China's one of the ones.
And they're giving better deals
Well, that's the point.
to these countries.
Listen,
This is about deals.
Once the United States, because the United States runs the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund. This is how they maintain their global hegemony. A white man can't have a white face in all these countries and get away with it. But if they control your money, the lending, if they control how much debt you have in each country, I control the global hegemony. And then if I sit back here and finance enough splinter groups, the splinter groups can keep you in line if you ever want to sit back here and establish independence. But now they can't do that because you have private armies like the Wagner Group, which is still sitting back here and protecting these countries' sovereignty. So the whole world is shifting to the Eurasian side. And the battle is about Eurasia. And the scriptures confirm where all of these writers and these think tank people were talking about. The Most High got all these people's minds on this district, this land, in this area, and whoever can control it has control of the world.
That's the boss.
Okay, so it says, the sting shall come up, his ill savor shall come up, because he have done great things, wicked things, marvelous things. How they can control all of this world and territory without having a prince in charge of these spots of their own nation.
Right.
Every other country, whether it was the damn Mongols, the Huns, the Chinese, the Romans, you had Roman vassals all these different places. And every one of those countries, they fell because they were too far extended.
Right.
This country was able to sit back here and extend out their power without physically being there.
Even Britain collapsed.
Britain couldn't listen.
They couldn't sustain it.
United States power and their global dominance was stronger than Britain's. Britain couldn't control Europe. Britain controlled the weaker countries, Africa, India, China. They broke them. They couldn't sit back here and completely keep the European countries at bay. That's why they had to sit back here in the late 1800s and do a Berlin Berlin conference and split up the wealth in Africa equally. They had to sit back and placate Europe. They didn't dominate Europe. They placated.
Well, they did say the sun never sets on the...
Yes, their scope, whether it's Africa, India, China, they were able to control the weaker, poorer nations with their navy. But even them couldn't control their own region. They had to do deals with them. They even did deals with the United States. They had to sit back here and work through Canada to try to stay on top of the United States. So their reach wasn't as potent as the United States' reach was, or is. But it's slowly crumbling. Because even in this book in 97, he says, we're on top. But things change very soon. How long can we keep the power up? And it's lasted another 10, 15 years. But their time on top is up. And the fighting, everything is centralized in Eurasia. Even the fighting in Ukraine is part of Eurasia. Okay, let this go. We're going to the next verse. 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 20 and 21. We got to take our time because it's a lot of information. And if we run through it fast, it's not going to make any sense to people.
Normally we go through...
Well, Rome, not yet. That's going to take it off too much. Maybe later on. Okay. But I get what you're going, because it explains how they control things. Yeah. But not yet. Let's go to 2nd Ezra 15 and verse 20. And listen, even with this, guys, we're going to read multiple chapters that talk about the same region. It's not just this one verse. Okay. And once again, this chapter in Joel 2020 initiated itself in the Gulf War. This is why Kawa always talks about how this was the start of this escalation, where it's gotten to where things start escalating from that point on. A United States involvement in the Middle East. Because before this, Britain had their hand in Iraq. Britain had their hand in Iran. Britain had their paws in those places. Okay? On a great level in the 1800s. But anyway, and the 1900s. But anyway, let's keep going. 2nd Ezra 15 and 20.
God, 2nd Ezra 15, verse 20. Behold, saith the Most High, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me, which are from...
Stop. He says, Most High is going to bring all the kings of the earth in a place, in a region, to reverence him. The ultimate goal is to break these nations so they all acknowledge who's the power. Okay? But where is it going to be from?
Which are from the rising of the sun.
The rising of the sun is where?
The east.
It's the east. It's the far east. Okay? So it goes back to the same jurisdictions that we read about in Joel 2 and 20. The EC, the rising of the sun. This thing is going crazy again. The EC, rising of the sun. So keep going.
From the south, from the east, and Lebanese.
Lebanese is Lebanon. Let's go back to the maps. So Lebanon, what sea is hitting, bordering Lebanon? It's the Mediterranean. So this is Ezra saying the same thing as Joel. All the prophets are talking about that same region where these final conflicts are going to happen. Now listen, does that mean that the bombs are dropping next month? I don't know. All we can sit back here and say for sure is this region is where the escalation is going to be. Now, just like when it was in 1991 and the escalation started. We might have thought that was it, but it wasn't. In this situation, we might think this is it, but it might be a little later. But one thing is a fact. This is the region where everything's going to fall apart at. Now, I can tell you this. I think this is it, because at least in 91, America was still in power. And they were raging, and Russia just fell when this happened in 91, which kind of lets you know it wasn't meant to be. But scripturally, the scriptures tell you Russia's going to be that next world power. And everything looks like they're going to be the next world power. Right now, Russia has 750 to 1 million men just sitting here ready to go. And that's before they start drafting people. They sit on 1 million fighters. On top of the fact that their military production is 75% more and greater than the rest of the world. They're able to outproduce the entire world with military and weaponry. The United States, all these aid packages that are going to Ukraine, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but they can't fulfill the orders until 2024 and 2025. All the advanced HIMARS systems, anti-air defense systems, they can't. That stuff isn't going to go to Ukraine until 2024. It takes a year or two to sit back and replace the HIMARS systems, the air systems. It takes a long time for that to happen. So all this money is in back orders. They had interviews with Halliburton, which is the military industrial complex head of the United States. They said, listen, we're not going to be able to produce this stuff until 2024, 2025. It takes that long to make those type of weapons. So right now, they just took promised ammo and sent it to Israel. So Ukrainians have even less weaponry to fight Russia now. They're in trouble. So all these things are showing that the United States can't even rev up to combat Russia and this onslaught of other nations. They can't do it. All they got now is their navy. They have army, but they don't even have the bullets. They can't keep up with bullet production. They say in the Ukrainian war, Russia is going through 6,000 to 10,000 rounds a week. No, a day. And they said Ukraine got to go through 6,000 a week. They got to strip out their bullets. Listen, they don't have enough. Listen, you can't keep shooting. You can't keep shooting. That is a significant disadvantage. And they can't keep up with the production. Because you know what? They've outsourced all of their industrial complex to who? To China. To other countries. This is why this place is in a weak position militarily. The United States back in World War II had the industrial complex that they said that the United States at the time was 50% of the world's weaponry back in the 50s. And that was how they were able to help beat Germany. Now they can't produce anything. Okay, let's go. 2 Ezra 15. Yep.
15 and 20. It says,
man, this thing is
behold,
really
take the Most High. I call together all the kings of the earth to represent me, which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Lebanese, to turn themselves one against the other.
So he says all the countries and people from the far east to Lebanon are going to be going at each other, fighting one another. Once again, that Lebanon is the far east place. Read on.
And repay the things that they have done to them.
They're going to repay with all the things that were done to this region. This region has been ransacked, destroyed. Listen, all of those coups, all of that Arab Spring that happened in Libya, that happened in Morocco, that happened in Syria, the attempted coup in Syria. All of these coups were happening in 2011. It says now it's payback for all of these countries that were affected in that Arab Spring. From the time of even Saddam getting wiped out. Everybody talked about how Saddam was bad. Saddam kept all those people in the region in check and in order. He kept them all in order. And they purposely destabilized Iraq so that they could put more military bases over there and keep a closer eye on Iran.
Libya as well?
Libya got wiped out because they were trying to put together an African dollar.
Yeah.
Gaddafi, right?
Yeah, Gaddafi.
It was gold backed.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's why
It was called the dinar, if I'm not mistaken.
It was.
It was the African dinar, and they were going to come together. They were going to try to reestablish their country. He had to die. You see Hillary Clinton, we got him.
Yeah.
We got him.
Yeah.
She was a straight demon.
Hey,
We came, we saw, we killed. Like, this chick is a monster.
They did him like they do us black people, the stars before they get rid of them, like Michael Jackson,
Yeah.
Prince.
Yeah.
They demonize them, charge him with something,
Yeah.
and then they kill him. They
Yeah.
did the same thing with Gaddafi.
They did the same thing for every leader that was trying to, what's the word? I always get this word messed up. Nationalize their natural resources. In the 50s, when the people in North, Central, and South America were nationalizing their natural resources, they were called communists. And because we're going to call you communists and you're not going to do us a deal and give us a cheap rate on your natural resources, you're going to die in a plane wreck. You're going to die in a
Mysterious
helicopter death.
Yeah, who knows what Kobe died of?
Well,
This ain't about Kobe.
Okay.
Kobe's one thing. We're talking about like literal heads of state
He was connected with
that have issues with helping their
Not
people
saying
out.
that.
We're not going Kobe. Kobe was a bad guy. How about that? But let's continue.
Verse 21.
Verse 21.
Okay, verse 21. Like as they do yet this day unto my chosen, so will I do also, and recompense in their bosom.
Read verse 21 again.
Come, verse 21. Like as they do yet this day unto my chosen.
He says, the same way our chosen have been destroyed, broken down, beat down, taken advantage of, and diminished. Read on.
So will I do also, and recompense in their bosom.
He's going to recompense it to the people in this region. He's like, this region is going to get it even worse. And all these countries coming together, it's a bloodbath is on the way. Listen, I'm going to show this real quick online. If you look online, these are all the naval fleets that are on the way or are already in the Mediterranean. These are all the naval fleets that are there already. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're around 45 battleships, cruisers that are going into the Persian Gulf and Mediterranean region right now. Why are they bringing this many people here? This many ships here? To play around? Just to sit back here and show, just to threaten the people? They're sitting back, and this is why this situation happened October 7th. We're in the 30th, right? It takes time to get all these ships here. It takes time to supply soldiers and food and munitions and weaponry to get from the United States or to pull from all these different United States naval bases around the world to center it into this location.
They're staging all in the Mediterranean.
Mediterranean and the Persian Gulf. Persian Gulf takes you through the port of Hormuz, which connects you to Iran. But also they don't tell you that China has sent 6 to 10 warships into the Persian Gulf too. China's got warships in the Persian Gulf. Just today, Israelis have sent the message to Turkey to have all their ambassadors come back. Turkey has sent 100 warships to the Mediterranean also.
I didn't even know they had that.
Yes, they do. Listen, Turkey sent 100. Listen, everybody's quietly moving their chess pieces together.
Right.
They're all getting ready for a move. And this kind of goes into the point of the latter part of the class. Everything, it hasn't blown up yet, but like all the pieces are in play, waiting for somebody to light the match and start it. You got 50, that's around 45 to 50 warships. 100 ships from Turkey, 10 to 15 from China. Everybody's gearing up. You got Libya already said, listen, all Israeli diplomats get out of here. All these people everybody's getting ready. Iran's getting ready. They're saying, listen, they've lit the match. They said that online. Listen, they've started it. They've lit a fuse. The United States already sent some bombs to Iranian outposts in Syria. What was you going to say?
Did the Turks expel them, or were they recalled?
They were recalled. They were recalled before. But Erdogan is like, listen, man, we're sitting back here supporting Palestine. You know, he's got it. This guy switches alliances a lot. We know that. But because he's Muslim, he got to show that solidarity. He's got to back him. Yeah, and since Russian planes are permanently in the Black Sea, but that's kind of patrolling Crimea to protect Crimea from Ukrainian attacks. But they're a hop, skip, and a jump from getting back to the Mediterranean. Okay, so did you finish verse 21, sir?
Thus saith the Most High.
Thus saith the Most High. Thus saith the Lord. Now we're going to go to Revelations chapter 9. Verse 13 through 15. Once again, you're going to read this same concept throughout all the different scriptures so you have a better idea that this region is literally where all the heat is going to be at. Okay? Revelation chapter 9, verse 13 through 15.
Revelation chapter 9, verse 13. And the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before the Most High, saying to the sixth angel, which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates.
What you'll realize, the sixth trumpet, sixth vial, seal, vials, and trumpets are talking about the same thing. So if it's the sixth vial, sixth trumpet, sixth seal, it's talking about that same region and that same situation. You go to the third vial, third trumpet, third seal, it's talking about the same situation from a different perspective. All these chapters you're reading, whether it's Second Ezra, Revelations, Joel, they're talking about the same thing but from a different lens.
Yeah,
But it's giving you the same regions.
Same narrative, yeah.
So, read verse 14 again.
Saying to the sixth angel which had the trumpet, loose the four angels which are bound in the great gate, in the great river Euphrates.
Stop. Now let's go on up. Let's look at the picture online. That great river Euphrates. It tells you where this river Euphrates runs through. Okay, what's that? Yeah, it's Mesopotamia, but it runs through Turkey. It runs through Syria. It runs through Iraq. It runs through this same region where this decision is being made. You would think the United States would be saying, let's just do a full frontal attack on Iran. But they're not even sitting back here. I haven't heard one military advisor, one military anybody say, you know what? We're going at Iran. We're going at the country of Iran. What they're doing is we're going at Syria. Because once again, it stays uniform with prophecy. This is about getting Syria. Because that was a country that couldn't get in 2011. But the problem is this, in going into Syria, you have Russian interests there. Russia's in West Syria. The United States is illegally occupying a base in East Syria. Yes. Listen, and they're stealing all their oil. They have caravans of oil, of trucks loaded with oil, leaving that area, and they're selling it. They're sending it to Iraqis, and the Iraqis are sending it to the United States. You should thank the Syrians for why your gas is low. Because that's Syrian oil that you guys are pumping into your gasoline, bro. They're taking wheat and oil in Syria, and they're smuggling it for free. And then you have your ISIS people, you got Hamas, you have all of these splinter groups in Syria still. That whole area is jacked up. And they purposely destabilized it because they wanted to break it in 2011. They just couldn't do it. That was the only country that didn't work on. The whole fist up and power to the people movement didn't work. So they're going to break Iran's #1 proxy or supporter. If they can sit back here and break Syria, then they can focus their attention on Iran. So once again, when you look at things geopolitically, it ties right in with prophecy. This is why you have to be tied in with news, history, scriptures, and always come back and refresh every few months to make sure everything is still on par with what you read before. Okay, so read that verse again, sir, in verse 14.
Verse 14. Saying to the sixth angel, which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels, which are bound in the great river Euphrates.
Read on. So this area, this region, is where the angels were supposed to loose these bounds. Read on.
Verse 15. And the 4 angels which loosed, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year.
So these angels were waiting for the appointed time to do what?
Or to slay.
Read it, come on.
To slay the third part of men.
To slay the third part of men. So he's letting you know, listen, there's going to be a lot of death and destruction in this region. Once it gets going, it's the third part of mankind is going to get wiped out in this region alone. The last time we read about a third of people being killed was in prophecy about World War II and World War I. It was the same totals that were talked about in Revelation about World War I, World War II. A third part of men. And those were devastating wars, and the body counts were out of this world.
20 million in Germany, 25 million in Russia, 15 million in India. No, it was 4 million in India.
Of starvation.
Of starvation alone.
Thanks to damn Churchill.
It was close to 80 something million that died in that war.
And those are the numbers that you can expect are going to happen in this Euphrates region. This one says Euphrates. The other one said from Lebanon all the way to China. The other one said from the Great Sea to the East Sea. It still gives you the same locations, the same areas. Okay? We're going to do there is now go to 2nd Ezra 16. Verse 1 through 3. Yes, all this is terrifying. And Lord be with you if your kid want to go to the service now for the benefits. It's the wrong time to be going in for the goddamn benefits act.
For the free education.
Well, I want to get my GI fund. All right, G. I don't think you're going to get back here to sit back and get your 4 years in. This might not be the time to go for your GI fund. All right? But might not be. I'm not saying for sure. Let's read 2nd Ezra 16, verse 1 through 3.
2nd Ezra chapter 16 and verse 1.
We just read about that 1/3 of men is going to be wiped out in this area. Read verse 1.
Come. 2nd Ezra chapter 16 and verse 1.
Yep.
Woe be unto thee.
Woe means destruction. Read on.
Babylon and Asia.
Once again, listen. Where is present day Babylon? Iraq. Woe unto Iraq. Read on.
And Asia.
That Asia region. Read on.
Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria.
And Syria, this is the same area that's being talked about in the 4th verse that goes into this region where destruction is going to be. Somebody had their hand up? Listen, you have spiritual Babylon and you have physical Babylon. You have spiritual Egypt and you have physical Egypt. So, literal ancient Babylon was in Iraq. Then you have ancient Egypt was in Egypt. But they're already also spiritually known as those countries as well. So, spiritually... No, we weren't spiritual Egypt. We were spiritual. We were always Israel. But when the Most High talks about... Yes, that is what America has been referred to as spiritual Babylon. America has been referred to as spiritual Egypt. But in this regard, it's still talking about that region. Because he's still saying destruction is coming to this region.
It's geographical.
This is still a geographical region. It doesn't take away what you're saying. What you're saying is true. Spiritually, America is Babylon. Spiritually, America is Egypt because it's a country of our captivity. But it's still talking about this region is where the destruction geographically is going to be. Okay, so read verse 1. I'm sorry, yes, my one.
Isn't it called Babylon the Great?
America's Babylon the Great, yeah. It's Babylon the Great. Yeah.
Babylon the Great.
Kind of.
But you gotta read the context of this.
And that's all we're saying. The context is still dealing with geography. Okay, where is this destruction going to be centered in? It said Babylon and Asia. He's talking about the whole jurisdiction of Asia, that area of Asia, Eurasia.
Yep.
Woe to this region called Eurasia. That includes Syria, Babylon, which is Iraq, and hell, even parts of Iran is ancient Babylon. But you get the point. Yes,
My Bible says Moasia.
That's a bad Bible there, man. You better burn that Bible, because that ain't what I read. Moasia, what's going on here, huh?
Moesha's gonna be out there with her show.
You better watch out for those Moesians. They're coming to get you.
Got braids out and beads out.
No, that's not the one.
Okay.
Listen, does anybody else have Moesia in their Bible?
So I got a little map with it.
It's a misprint, sir.
That's a misprint.
That's not prophecy.
That's not prophecy, man.
I know.
So let's go back. Let's read beyond the Moesia context side. Let's read verse 1 again. 16 and 1.
2 Ezra chapter 16 and verse 1. Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia.
Babylon and Asia, the region. Read on.
Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria.
It's letting you know that entire region is where a lot of the wars and the death and the killing is going to be built on. Read on.
Gird up yourselves with the cloths of sack and hair. Beware your children.
It's already happening. Those children in the Gaza Strip, they're already bewailing them. There are some heartbreaking pictures of those kids. Listen, some of the images are like, oh, the kid is safe. That kid ain't moving.
No.
Like the kid is survived. Are you sure? Because the limpness, it's almost like, is that even a real picture?
Yeah.
That's how a dead baby looks in real life. Scary as hell.
It's gray. It's like
It's gray because it's smoke and they're covered in rocks and soot.
Yeah.
But then it's all this soot and there's these major head wounds and body wounds. I'm like, bro, this sucks. And the body is lifeless. And first of all, these parents don't know how to hold a baby at all. Like, the head's all out. Like, can you cradle the damn head? What are you doing? I don't know if you've noticed it. Then why are you holding a baby like this so the whole body is just like this side? Like, what are you doing?
There's a situation, but I don't think it'd be logical.
No, yeah, you can. You can still. The baby needs to survive. Grab the kid's head and cradle the baby. That's just ridiculous. Can you protect the baby's head? Anyway, I get what you're saying, but come on, too, bro.
Happens in Jewtown too.
Well, it's still bad. It's still bad. So here we go. So it says, "Bewail your children." That part you can't deny.
Yeah.
When the kids are down on the ground and the parent is holding their baby and crying, that's gut wrenching.
Yeah.
I was just critiquing how they carried the baby out of the rubble. That's like ridiculous. That maybe this is awards of pain, maybe awards a bad guy. I get it. But read on. The bewailing of the children is for real. Read on.
And be sorry, for your destruction is at hand.
The destruction is at hand. These bombings aren't stopping. They're just doing preliminary feelers of what's going on right now. Send some bombs, shoot this, shoot that. Even before the ground troops started going, and by the way, it's reports that United States Delta Force has already entered in Gaza with IDF forces, which is Israeli Defense Federation forces. They're going in here, northern Gaza, and starting the ground war. Okay? That's already happening. But they soften them up with all those bombs. What they don't tell you also is that Hamas and the Palestinians have underground tunnels that go 500 miles deep. That's how they're getting their weapons in. So you can bomb the top all you want. You're not going to defeat them. They said they interviewed certain Israelis that were captured. They said they were taken out in these sophisticated tunnels. It ain't just some wood shit and some rock and no, this is sophisticated stuff, right? And this is how they get their supply lines taken up. So you can blow up the top all you want. It's no different than the United States and Afghanistan could bomb Afghanistan all damn day long. You couldn't destroy mountains. You couldn't blow up mountains because that's where they were hiding in. So they can sit there and go down all they want. If they start going in those tunnels, they're going to be in trouble. They're in trouble. This war is not going to be as smooth and as boom, 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 bam, bam, bam as they think. They can blow the whole thing up with incendiary bombs. They still got to go in these tunnels. And that's where the death's going to be. It's the truth. This is where Russia had to fight their battles in the salt mines of Ukraine. They had to go in these salt mine tunnels, and it's pitch black dark. You don't know what they're just sitting here. You're like a damn a walking target. You go into these holes, and you don't know where you're going, bro. Those are suicide missions. Anyway, let's continue.
Verse 3. A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back?
Listen, once this gets started, how are you going to double back off this? How are you going to stop this escalation once it gets going? This is why the Israelis, they were concerned. There was another reason why they didn't send jump to fight. They're like, listen, we got to make sure that if we go into Hamas, Hezbollah up north doesn't come and just bust us up. Because Israel doesn't have the personnel and the weaponry to fight a two-front war. This is why they had to wait till the United States came out here, assessed the situation. There was even a report today that the United States came and said, listen, man, you're going to have to scale back your infantry operation. You're trying to cover too much space, and you got to be more tactical with your direction and even going down in Gaza. So the United States is really taking charge in how they're going to proceed in this war in Gaza, because Israel got to make sure Hezbollah, which is definitely funded by Iran, doesn't come down and invade Israel. Because that can happen, and if that happens, it's all messed up. Yes, sir?
They have 130,000 rockets, Hezbollah has.
Mm-hmm.
That was supplied by Iran via China.
Mm-hmm.
130,000.
They're ready. Listen, I forgot the year. I think it was 2014. Israel tried to invade Lebanon and got their ass kicked. They can't beat Hezbollah up north. They can't. That's why, listen, Israel is back in a corner. I heard that they bombed this restricted space that they stole from Syria. I think it's the Golan
Heights.
The Golan Heights. They're bombing that area too, man. Listen, this is getting bad. This is getting bad, and it's still little light skirmishes here and there. Besides that invasion of northern Gaza, and listen, I hope this isn't getting too deep and too much going on, but you got to kind of go into these details and say, hey, we're out here smiling in the United States, eating cake, drinking wine. I was at a Riverwalk yesterday, man. Everybody's smiling. I'm like, do they realize this shit could be over soon? Look at that here. This is Saint San Antonio, and I'm like, man, listen, they don't realize this thing could be over within months. Once this escalates, everything is still kind of controlled chaos. Once all these ships and these warships get settled into their locations, the warships are settled in the Persian Gulf, everything's ready to go on the Mediterranean Sea, and then the go button is really pushed, and there's troops on ground in Syria, then you're going to get Russia coming in. Then it's all hell going to break loose. The thing is, a lot of times, there's a false sense of security because the United States isn't touched yet. How about the United States might not be in complete tatters at all? How about it might be like it is now, just with some basic economic crunches, and all the heat is in the Middle East, and the bombs come. Are you ready? Are you spiritually ready? Have you done enough? Have you made enough changes in yourself? I'm telling you, listen, it might not go like we think. Even like how we were taught. There's going to be all this super suffering over here. It could just be super suffering in the region he wants to be destroyed. Listen, if it was talking about the third of men died, right? Did America get touched really in World War I?
No.
Europe took the brunt of it. even in World War II, did America feel the brunt of World War II? So if we're talking about the theater of war is going to be in the Middle East, we might not feel the brunt of it. We might just feel a slight depression or a really bad recession. Because the scripture says the end of the world comes like a thief in the night.
I mean,
He says people are going to be marrying, giving in marriage. So there's going to be a certain faction of people that are operating like there's not a real big thing going on.
And that's the game of it. That's the sneak point of it.
That's the point.
That's the sneak point. Because a thief goes in the house in the night when people don't expect that thief to go in the house.
There's like give me both of them. All the fightings over there, we got time. I can keep sinning. I can keep living my life and being selfish.
Yeah.
I don't got to take shit serious. I don't got to sit back here. I got 5 more years of sinning.
I keep my pursuit
before I can tighten up my life. People be calculating like that. I got a little time.
Yeah.
I can be on point. I can be off point and then get back right.
I could be quitting and giving up. Listen, you can do all you want. It's all good until you look up and you see the bombs drop, which is a real thing.
That is when Christ is coming back. When the nukes are in the damn air, and then the threat of Israel being damaged is within minutes.
And before then, you had the sleeping cells. The FBI and CIA was talking about that here in America. You know.
Listen, there's sleeper cells, and I get that.
And that happened.
But understand this: there's sleeper cells. I don't even want to go there because of this. Because then you get Israel. Until I see sleeper cells, I'm going to the club. When I start seeing concentration camps, then I'm sending prayers up. Yahweh send y'all shine. We're sending prayers up if we see Chinese soldiers and Russian soldiers sitting there here and say, get over here. Get over here. Then I'm like, I'm praying. If it's like Red Dawn and shit. If it's Red Dawn, then the Jews will be praying. Get out of here, all right?
Listen, it's going to be, the Bible is a big book.
It's
like you said earlier, that is what's going on in Ghetto America. The scope of the Bible goes bigger than the ghetto. So if that's the case, those affects are going to be in different parts of the world at different times, synonymously, and these are just different conditions as the end of the world is happening.
Yeah.
You don't get that. These are different present situations. Because you're in Texas and everything's cool in Texas doesn't mean
I'm telling you, bro.
the society's not collapsing.
Yep.
That's what we're getting. You're living in a bubble. It's even worse if you're Israelite because you're in a real bubble.
Okay.
You're in a real bubble because your mind's just on the routine of the day and the scriptures, not knowing the whole world's collapsing around you. And if I'm not serious, I stand to be evaporated with those nukes.
Mm-hmm. What was that verse you had? Not the Ezekiel one. The one in Thessalonians.
Thessalonians.
Don't worry about it.
But you want to say something?
Matthew 24.
It's Ezekiel. You didn't have that in your class. It's one of those. They don't say it.
Let's hold tight. Let's go on a different angle. Read verse 17 and 18 in Ezra's.
Come. Second Ezra chapter 16 and verse 17
and 18.
Come. Verse 17. It says, "Woe is me! Woe is me!
Marrying.
Who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings."
So, okay, read verse 18 again. It's not the gospel.
They left carelessly.
Okay, just get it ready. I just didn't want Ezekiel.
I got you.
Keep going up. Verse 18 again.
Come. Second Ezra chapter 16 and verse 18. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings. The beginning of famine and great death.
Listen, don't forget, all of this got activated in 91. People look at it like it's just starting now, so it's going to be an escalation from now on. This has been an escalation since 1991, and we're crescendoing now. Because the Arab world is like, we're not going to let these infidels get in this country and destroy this region of the world. So this is the beginning of the woes, the beginning of the sorrows, the beginning of the mourning, and the famine was in where? In 91. Hell, there's a famine now in Pakistan. Listen, they tried to follow IMF rules and plant their crops with fertilizer didn't have nitrogen. And guess what? Their crops failed. They lost 70% of their crops. Guess what? They're hungry as hell now. That's a famine. That's a famine. Listen, India is stockpiling their rice and they're not exporting their rice like they used to. They're sitting back here embracing for a collapse. So this is the crescendo of time where things are escalating. They're not declining. They're getting worse. That's how you have to look at it. This is not a one-day situation. This is a gradual period of time where things are diminishing and deteriorating. And that's in one part of the world. Now give me the other verse we got.
Matthew 24 and verse 38.
Matthew 24 and 38. We just read 36 at the beginning of class. Matthew 24, 38, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you want to Isaiah 47? It goes right into it.
No, I don't want the verse done again.
No.
Matthew chapter 24, and verse 38.
Yeah, that's fine. Read that, sir.
Matthew 24 and 38. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking.
Listen, just like in the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking like everything was going to be okay. Read on.
Marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark.
And that's the thing. It's the same way that things are going to happen now. In one part of the world, there's famine, there's suffering, and there's affliction, but it doesn't mean everybody's going to experience the same level of problems. As in, because everybody's looking for signs. Everybody's looking for confirmations that this is the time to buckle down and get serious. Yes, sir?
You always hear like Jacob's trouble.
Yeah. But listen, everybody's looking at that, but the crazy thing is Most High has actually been very merciful on us. We've been getting our ass kicked since the age of exploration. Since the Spanish conquistadors came down here and started wiping us out in the 1700s. We've been the prey from then until now. The funny thing is the black man's getting looked after now. We're actually used as a ploy to weaken and break down America. Black Lives Matter? What is that? Is that really for us?
No.
But you know, it's not really for us, but there is a protection now. There is a like what's the word I'm trying to use?
Hedge.
Huh? It's a hedge, but it is a movement going on. People got to sit back here, but it's all a psyop or whatever you want to call it. But it's still something that's established that people have to back off black people. And there's got to be a respect now. We don't want to offend black people. We don't want to offend Israel. That's a real thing.
It's a political buffer.
It's a political, but you know, we're looking at it. You got to look at it mechanically. You got to look at it spiritually. The Most High is giving us a breather. Yeah, we know that we're being used to slide in that LGBTQ stuff. We know that. But we're also being protected. Now cops got to be careful about before they whip our ass. Back in the 90s, they was whipping asses all the time. Cops was whipping our ass left and right. Now, it still happens a little bit now, but they got to think twice. There was that Judite brother in Georgia that got killed. Them guys went to jail. I was like, what? They actually went to jail? How many times cats got killed and white boys got acquitted?
Yeah, they go to court.
I'm like, they went to jail now. I am amazed. That guy, Derek Chauvin, he's in jail. What? That doesn't happen. So now people got to think twice. That's the Most High looking after us because the real heat's going somewhere else. Most High's giving us a reprieve. He's giving us a reprieve, and he's taking the heat off of us. And I'd rather these damn Ukrainians get banged on than us. Let them be the force, the focus of his fury in Russia. Let them do it. Let them be that focus. Let us take a break. We've been getting our ass beat for 500 years, it feels like. 300, 400, something hundred. You get the point, right? So, continue. What you got in the other verse, right?
Isaiah 47 and verse 7 through 9. But this goes from.
I didn't want to go there yet. I didn't want to go there. Yeah, because that talks about their evasion, and I don't want to go there yet.
I got you. No, you're good. You're good. You can read it.
Isaiah chapter 47, verse 7. Whenever you're ready.
Yep.
And thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever.
Listen, okay, you said verse 7? Okay. This chapter deals with Babylon. This chapter deals with Spiritual Babylon, huh? Well, listen.
How you want to do
Well, that's the thing.
Verse 8.
it? I'm not even with it.
Just jump to verse 8.
Isaiah chapter 47, verse 8. Therefore.
Well, no, this is fine. Read verse 7.
Okay. Isaiah chapter 47, verse 7.
Matter of fact, give me verse 1. This is right. I didn't want to get pulled too much because this is going to take it away. But read verse 1.
Isaiah chapter 47, verse 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon.
This is talking about the United States. The United States is the virgin daughter of Babylon. Because the United States has not been the center of any major war, invasion, and attack. Okay? And because America, United States, has not been the place of a major attack. Now, you can sit back here and say it was the Trade Center or Pearl Harbor, but we know what the hell that was.
They attacked themselves.
They attacked themselves. So this place has not been the focus and attack of another nation. And we haven't been spoiled. So the Most High calls America the virgin daughter of Babylon. Read on.
Sit on the ground.
Sit on the ground. Eventually, America is going to fall. Okay? Now, the question is the rate of the fall. Is it going to be pretty much contained and then it falls apart? Or is it going to be these major economic crashes, then it falls apart? We're not sure. Because right now, the way it stands, America can keep printing money to keep stabilizing itself.
Amen.
For now. Now, that could mean that could keep going. They can keep on this process and the news could come. Or there could be a complete collapse verging and they have to sit back and push the button out of desperation. Either way, the virgin daughter is about to fall. Read on.
There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate.
And that's the point. This place, after a while, is not going to be called tender and delicate. It's on the decline. The more Eurasia builds up, the more BRICS builds up, the more that sector of the country gets stronger, the United States is diminishing. But it hasn't been completely broken yet. This is why Putin keeps talking about a multipolar war. Multipolar world. Multiple nations being powerful. The United States isn't going to have it that way. They're going to be the only hegemony in the world, or they're going to burn this shit up. This is the dynamic. This is what's happening. Now jump to verse 7.
Isaiah 47, verse 7. And thou sayest, I shall be a lady forever.
And listen, the powers that be in this country have the assumption that they can have the global hegemony forever. I can keep buying myself out of situations. I can keep sitting back here and printing money out of my situation. I can keep funding countries and financing proxy wars and stay in power forever and create false flags. And I can use my
propaganda machine.
Propaganda machine. That's what I want. The propaganda machine to sit back and justify my underhandedness. This is the thinking of being a lady forever, being respected as the Lady Liberty, the country that represents freedom and democracy. Exactly. Read on.
So that thou didst not...
To be big brother to the rest of the world. Read on.
So that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart.
Mm-hmm.
Neither didst remember the latter end of it.
Listen, they weren't conscious. This country isn't conscious of how all countries fall apart. All countries fall apart by outsourcing too much of their economy. All countries fall apart because they tap too much into the hedonistic side of life. He talks about how Rome fell. They got caught too much into their lust and comfort. That was one of the major reasons why Rome fell. They got lazy. They got comfortable. They lost their edge. They lost their hunger.
They got effeminate.
Well, yeah, they got effeminate. They got comfortable. They got into their money. They got into their servants, into their land, into their wine. Didn't that happen to us?
Yeah.
That's happening to America. America is a service industry country now. It used to be the leader of building cars and manufacturing, and they were the top of the line in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Then they started outsourcing their work to China. They got comfortable. They forgot how countries rise and fall. Their only way they've been sustaining themselves is by their fractional banking system. But that alone ain't going to keep them on top. Read on.
Verse 8. Therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasure.
Listen, This is how countries fall. Their hedonistic values. They've lost their religious values. They've lost their spiritual values. They've lost their family values.
And that's the part of that stink that the rest of the world is smelling.
Yep.
Because America's the leader of culture in the world. Not to get disgusting or whatever, but the majority of what? The majority of internet. I'm not going to say the word online.
You say OnlyFans.
Well, OnlyFans.
That type of energy.
Okay, that type of energy.
Yeah.
That is exported majority from America. That poison.
Russia has canceled that from their service, bro. They don't let that go in their country, bro.
That poison is weakening young men. It's destroying people's perspective of women and how to deal with, interact, and interpret relationships. It's breaking down the ability to socialize and connect. So we might look at it just, it's just something they're doing online. Listen, bro, this is destroying people's whole perspective on their own family members. Because as you know, the label of these videos are always talking about other family members dealing with incest.
Yep.
That's a major aspect of the industry. And it also is killing the natural attraction on a the natural physical attraction between man and woman is diminishing because now you have to intensify the interaction to create the arousal. So this is bleeding into other countries.
Yeah.
Like, damn, our kids is going crazy now. You can't hide it. You can't even hide it from your kids anymore because every guy has to have a cell phone. The parents back in the day were like, "Not my house." Now you gotta call your kids, or they got abducted. Nobody knows where their kids at. They gotta have a cell phone. What comes with the cell phone? Access to that kind of poison.
Because part of the destabilization process in which America uses to take down countries is destroy the moral family values, destroy patriotism,
exactly,
destroy gender roles, and push rebellion amongst children and parents.
Free porn.
Well, yeah, that's what he was going into earlier. But the point is, they use American freedoms to pursue or entice other countries to follow.
Nations and pervert countries.
Exactly.
So let's keep going with this. You got more in your verse, right?
Yeah.
Verse 8 again from the top.
Isaiah 47:8. It says, "Therefore hear now this, thou that are given to pleasure, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thy heart, I am, and none else beside me."
And that is the whole hegemony, unipolar mentality. There's only going to be one chief boss in town. We're not going to play second fiddle to nobody. We're not going to let Russia sit back here. This is what this book and many books like this are about. How to keep global hegemony exclusively coming to us. What do we have to do to keep everybody connected into the American way? There's not going to be anybody but us. We're not going to let China stay to control. So you know what we got to do to keep China in check? This next, I think, is $115 billion package is getting split three ways from the cabinet.
Yep.
X amount of millions or billions is going to go to Ukraine to keep their country functioning. A portion is going to Israel, and a portion is going to where? Taiwan. We're going to sit back here. We're going to send a couple more battleships, keep it in that Pacific Ocean area. We got Australia in our back pocket. We got Japan in our back pocket. We're going to sit back here and use these forces to neutralize China. This is the whole point. This is why Taiwan has been, even in the UN understands that Taiwan is part of China. But you know how you sit up here and you cause problems? We recognize Taiwan's sovereignty.
As an independent state.
That's what sovereignty is. We're an independent state. This is what Putin is saying about Palestine.
Yep.
In order to stop the fighting in Israel, Palestine needs to have their own sovereign government. No one wants to hear that shit in Israel. I got to split this land up with these guys and give them their... Listen, Gaza is a prison city.
Yeah.
It's like that Mad Max shit. Is that?
Open-air concentration camp.
It's an open-air concentration camp. And listen, they don't have access to clean water. They don't have access to mineral rights. I'm going to show you this real quick online. Check this out. Not the basis one. Yeah. You look online where it has Israel's offshore gas deposits. Israel doesn't have any access to a lot of natural resources. Israel's a dead city. So what they're doing is, if you look at Marine 1 and 2 and Marine B, this is where their gas fields and natural gas deposits found near the land of Israel in the Mediterranean. They found these gas deposits, but guess what? They're in the corridor of Gaza. They're in the corridor of Gaza, but you think Gaza got access to that oil and natural resources?
No.
No, this is ours. If they had their own sovereignty, they would have access to their gas deposits and be able to make money and rebuild their country off of their natural resources. But this is another reason why Israel can't justifiably keep them around. They got to keep access to those oil deposits and those gas deposits. So they got to wipe them off the chessboard completely. They would rather exterminate 2 million people so they can have that area to themselves. They can keep building on their country.
And have wealth.
Because the crazy thing is, because they're having such a tough time with their natural resources, there have been talks about the Israelis taking Ukraine as their land. That'd be a whole other story.
Yeah, I heard
they want Ukraine. They gonna kill off and wipe out all the Ukrainians and put these Zionists over there. But that's a whole other story. Yes.
Wait, what? So we can't go to there. We can't go there right now.
Listen,
We have a topic going on, bro.
I threw it out there. That's clickbait. Clickbait. Check it out later. Ukraine and the Zionists. But you see how the national sovereignty would mean they have access to natural resources and water. They have real issues with water in Israel. There's not enough water to take care of the Israelis, let alone the Gazians. But the Most High is cursing that spot. We'll go into that if we have time tonight. Are you still in Isaiah, right? 47?
Yeah, he's on it.
Read verse 8 from the top again.
Isaiah 47, verse 8. Therefore, hear now this. Thou that art given to pleasures, that dwellest carelessly.
Look, and they're dwelling carelessly now. They think they can sit back here, that they can sit back and just spend money, create these splinter groups, sit back here and finance ISIS, call ISIS the bad guy in the newspapers, but sending guns and money to them to sit back and destabilize countries. This is insane. They've been doing it to Hamas, ISIS, you name it. Even back into the 1880s with the Muslim Brotherhood. The Brits taught the Americans all the tricks in the book. They sat back here, the Brits would sit back here and finance all these extremist groups, these Arab extremist groups, to neutralize the peace-loving Arabs in the area, in the sectors. Whether they were doing it heavily in Egypt, because they were trying to take out Nasser, Gamal Nasser, and all the leaders of Egypt, because they were the world power at the time. They did it with them. They did it with the president of Iraq back in the day. I forgot the guy's name. They've been doing this. This is but they're acting carelessly now. Now everything's on television. You can't hide. Your propaganda isn't working like it used to. People aren't buying the message. The people aren't buying like Operation Iraqi Freedom. People were buying that shit back then. Now it's like, nah, this is an angle, bro. What does America want? Listen, all those George Soros backed movements, they had the same fist, with a different color background.
You're getting lazy, yeah.
Everybody knows. Oh, you got the list. Okay, now the hustle is exposed. There was a guy in Serbia who would teach all of the young students in these different countries how to protest and how to break down governments through protest. It was a hustle. It was a hustle. Everybody was learning, but now everybody knows the game. So you can't get in there now and do what you wanted to do back then. You can't. The hustle don't work no more. That's a hustle. This is American hustle. It's all out there now.
And this is why Twitter or X is such a problem in the United States government, because they no longer follow the demonetized rules that was originally set in place before what's his name, Elon Musk got it.
Yeah.
Versus Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, they'll keep the demonetized. They'll brand you as non-factual.
Yep.
Or Facebook jail. You'll get banned.
They can't control it like this now.
But Twitter or X, you can't control all the information. It's getting flooded. You can easily access it. You can look it up, find it, and it's all in front of you.
Yep.
So
and listen, that's just in that period. I want to blend it out too eventually.
Listen, but for now, whether it's there's always contrarians. It could be a psyop. The truth is, you can look at it one or two ways. They're tracking who's anti-government and who's pro-government, Or you can look at it as if, oh, the truth's coming out. All right, be careful what you say online. It's all records on it.
It's true.
You want to be a tough guy and say F the police?
Feds to show up.
Then guess what? The feds be at your house. Huh? Yeah, you see those niggas that sit back show their drugs and guns online.
Oh, bro.
And then all of a sudden, the day or two later, the task force gets these niggas.
Yeah.
Crazy as hell.
This happens. They're watching. So don't be an idiot.
Or threats about Joe Biden. Or
I'm gonna kill him. Okay. There's no that's gonna
say
happen.
dumb shit online. We can't say anything
We're
crazy.
not saying anything. We're just teaching the work of the Lord. That's all.
But this is the problem. This is the problem.
Let's pull this verse just to clear the air. Zephaniah 3:8.
No, but we were saying.
I gotta pull this.
Yeah.
Just on what you said. Just keep that in your mind.
Yeah.
Keep the verse. Keep what you're saying in your head. Zephaniah 3:8. Just to cover our tail. Yes. Zephaniah 3:8. Please, somebody get it quick.
Therefore, wait ye upon me.
The Most High says, wait on the Lord. There will be no rebellion in San Antonio. There will be no uprising in San Antonio. We're going to sit on our butts and teach the Bible until Christ comes back. There won't be no rebellion here. We're going to sit here and pay our bills. We're going to pay our bills and taxes until Christ comes back. Nothing more, nothing less. Read that from the top again.
Therefore, wait ye upon me, saith the Most High, until the day that I rise up to the prey.
The Most High is going to rise up.
That's the real thing. That's still.
You know why it's the real thing? Because Israel's being idiots arguing with Palestinians in damn Chicago.
Yeah.
Getting no fights.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Just shut your mouth and teach color. You want to be a tough guy and talk about the Palestinians and talk about the Bashar and Ashdod. Let's go teach color, bro. And teach the Jews. You see a damn swarm of Palestinians and you want to pick a fight with them? You realize these dudes will go to your house
and find you.
And find you, bro? And I'm shooted by the Lord. No, you're poking the bear. Shut your damn mouth and teach the breakdowns and go home. Why argue with Palestinians when there's 1,000 Palestinians in a rally? Why would you do that? Because you want clickbait. You want a couple more hundred likes on your damn YouTube show.
You want
That's all it's about.
It's not really about teaching the Israelites.
Exactly.
It's not really about informing and edifying your people. It's about that whole self-obsession and being a figure and being a person.
You want attention.
There you go.
Well, now you got attention. You probably got a black eye, too. And that's what you get. Shut your mouth, teach the breakdowns, go home and live another day. Versus making Israelites a target. Now we look like we're anti-Palestine. You know what? Just listen. We're pro-Yahweh. Why Yahweh shy? That's it. The Most High is telling us He's going to deal with all these nations His way. He's going to... Listen, stop bringing attention to us. The Most High gave us the perfect cover. Stay in America, teach your people. Keep your head down. Stop getting involved with all this back and forth. All we're doing now is explaining scripturally what's going down. But Israel got to get some kind of recognition. We got to be told, oh, that was cold. You went at them. You went at them in street teaching. You broke their spirit. And just shut up, man. Can you just keep a lid on your bravado and your pride?
Can I pull something real quick?
Please.
Ecclesiasticus 11 and verse 10.
Ridiculous. Man, Israel be tripping, man.
Strong opinions, no leadership.
There you go.
Goes back to that class.
Goes
I
back.
wants to hear this. Knows that class down.
Is Ecclesiastes what?
11 verse 10.
They didn't like it, man. I don't know why.
Nobody
man.
liked that class.
That's a sore spot right there, man. Listen, Jay-Z said it, man. He said reasonable doubt was classic. It should have went triple. We all have our thoughts and our opinions about what should have went triple. What you got? Ecclesiastes 11 and 10.
Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 10. My son, meddle not with many matters.
Meddle not with many matters. Meddling, you're not really dealing with. This ain't business.
Yep.
This isn't edifying your women. This isn't edifying your people. This isn't raising your sons to make them proper Israelites in the future.
This is how even the Israelite street speaking movement diminished. A lot of young men don't really know what street teaching really is. You're supposed to sit back and teach and edify your people. You'll use little skirmishes here and there to draw your people in. But you can't be tone deaf to what's going on right around you. These people's lives and their livelihood and their family livelihood is in danger.
In jeopardy.
In jeopardy. Let them have their protest and you go teach what you got to teach. And what's the focus of a street teacher or a teacher in general? Unifying your people. The Most High is telling you in all this information, hey man, the Most High is going to sit back here and gather all these nations together and destroy them. Then let him do that.
That's his job.
Then you sit back here and lay low and go after and fish the people you're supposed to fish. Versus throwing hands against Palestinians. That's just immaturity. I don't give a damn if they're 40-year-old teachers. They're babes in the spirit if they're doing that. These are just facts. I'm sorry, that's a very childish, sophomoric approach.
That's why I post right here, bro. Read it right here. Read it again.
My son, meddle not with many matters.
Meddle not with many matters, things that don't pertain to you. Read.
For if thou meddle much.
If thou meddle much. You want to keep playing these games and trying to get clicked and be a figure. You want to go there and go on Sonnetter and you want to get vision. You want to be seen by Sonnetter. You want to be the future debater.
Sonnetter?
Sonnetter's this guy that he likes to interview all the Israelites, but he's a complete Egyptian atheist. But he uses Israelite controversy for attention because it gets clicks. Mm-hmm. So he pimps us to get clicks and get some money. Mm-hmm. We're really feeding this dude who is an atheist, an Egyptian. Yep. But he actually daps us up. He's cool with us just for a little while, but he never agrees with us. Right? The conscious community is pimping the Israelite community because we want to sit here and entertain these people. Yep. They're not really getting sold and fed. Read.
What we'll say is we're getting the truth. I know your ego is getting fed.
Your ego's
if it's really about the truth, you go out and not put on the internet and just teach people. Why do you have to sit back here and broadcast to the world that's your street speaking?
Vainglory.
Listen, street speaking is an intimate thing. You're connecting to people, you're reaching people. Why don't I gotta sit back and show people that I'm doing it? So people can acknowledge see that I'm doing it?
I'm a figure.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Keep going, bro.
Thou shalt not be innocent.
Thou shalt not be what?
Innocent.
You want to have some state on your name.
And that's what's happening now.
Read.
And if thou follow after.
You want to continue this on this path? Cool. Read.
Thou shalt not obtain.
Look, you're not going to get the real goal accomplished. We're not attaining the real goal.
Yep.
The real goal is to wake up our people. You're going from wake up your people to getting attention. Which one is it?
That's why the Moses said those Pharisees that are praying out in the synagogues, they've already got their reward out. The guys that do what they do for attention, your reward is the attention you got. It's not a heavenly reward. Okay, let's get back on topic.
I like to figure to clear the air on that point because you know what? These topics are some real topics, bro.
Okay. So, where are we at?
Isaiah 47 and 8.
Okay, let's do that. Isaiah 47 and 8. This class is only 10 o'clock. We've been there for like 3 hours. It feels like
we're there 4 hours.
Man, we just been here for like 2.5. Not even 2, like an hour and 45. Go for it.
Come on, Isaiah 47 and 8. Therefore, hear now this. Thou that art given to pleasures and dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me.
Listen, and if you sit back here and really understand United States thinking, their mindset is there's nobody else but us. We're the world power. We're going to do everything we can to be the only show in town. Read on.
Multipolar.
The United States is against multipolar hegemony. Read on.
God, I shall not sit as a widow.
And I'm not going to feel the effects of a loss. I'm not going to lose in my country. We're going to stay strong. We're going to stay perched. We're going to keep this kingdom forever. Read on.
Neither shall I know the loss of children.
I'm not gonna sit back here and take significant L's in my country. That's for y'all other countries. Listen, the United States has broke Europe, bro. Germany is a shell of who they used to be, bro. Listen, they sat back here and deindustrialized the entire European country.
Continent.
The continent, the whole area, exactly. And they sat back here and blew up the Nord Stream 1. And that was their only way to get gas and fuel to power their country. This is the second year they're going to go without power. Listen, the people had to pay outrageous prices for their heating and electricity. Businesses just couldn't keep up to pay the bills. Businesses fell apart in Germany, France, all these places. The Frenchies are out here crazy protesting about light bills and electric bills and the cost of living. And America's like, no, well, we blew your shit up. Suck it up.
Who's responsibility is to fix it?
Huh?
Whose responsibility is it to fix it?
You know what? All that oil coming from Syria. Guess who's flipping it and charging three times the regular price of gas and oil?
It's a game, bro.
Is it us? Because
Yeah. Listen, our energy sector has risen up, and you're paying 3 times what you would get from the Russian pipeline, like they give you cheap gas and oil. Now you got to get stepped on gas. Listen, I'm serious. You got to get it like what they're doing is countries like India bought loads and loads and loads of gas and oil from Russia.
Okay.
Russia went up heavily on their money, on their profit. They're still making money with their oil. So what they did is India, China bought multiple barrels. And you know what they do? They say, hey, I got that good. I got that hit. You need that hit? But you know,
It's the oil game.
because you know, hey, there's not a lot going out in the city, but I got it. But I got it for a higher price though.
And selling it back to Europe?
Hell yeah, they're selling it back to Europe for a higher price. So now it's like 3 times the markup rate.
And that's why.
And then the people in Europe are paying 3 times for the power and electric, for the gas. And that's the hustle.
And that's why China and Russia are boys.
That's part of it.
And well, they always
and
like
India.
their enemies. But
Well, it just depends on the time.
They're
Because in the
playing
50s, they were tight. 70s, they started breaking apart. Now, China isn't as chummy with the United States anymore. They'll do what they got to do to make their money, but they're hedging both sides. Really, China's
with Russia.
I know. Now they're partners again.
Yeah.
Listen, Xi Jinping and Putin, they're tight. Listen, you'll know because Xi Jinping will go to Russia to meet with him. Most of the time, when American ambassadors come, he has his little, to come to China out there and talk to him. He has his 3rd and 4th level guys talk to the diplomats and United States diplomats.
Yeah.
He'll he'll do? He'll go to Modi in India. He'll talk with him. He'll sit back here and only go to a handful of spots. The rest of these guys, you got to come to me, and you might not see me. That's how it is. A lot of the ambassador for the United States, I think it was it was either Biden or somebody else it was Blinken, Anthony Blinken, went to Arabia to talk to the heads of Arabia. He waited for 2 hours.
Yeah.
This is how these ambassadors be messing with these heads of state.
And they treat them
You gonna sit for 2 hours, G. Then I'm gonna send my 3rd guy to talk to you, give you a glass of water
My man
with some cucumber in it.
Yeah.
This is how they do you, right? They sit back and sun you to let you know, hey man, we're not jumping at you. But if it was Xi Jinping, good day, sir. How are you doing today? Let's talk shop. That's how you know who's respected and who's not respected by how they receive them.
They did that to Bush, made him wait and told him it was pathetic.
But
They
this
asked him on film about a lower price, and he said no, and went on to the next summit.
But Biden was talking about the heads of state in Arabia, and now you gonna come out there? Biden came to him and said, "Listen, we need more. We need you to produce more oil." Like, no, we're not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a cap on our oil production.
Basically, what he told Bush.
There's a cap on oil production because we're not going to jack up our OPEC, our system.
Mm-hmm.
You should have went to Russia. They don't want to go to Russia, so now they got to go black market and get it from China for the higher price. It ain't 17.5. They're like 25 or 25.5 or some crazy number for the damn oil. This is the game, right? This is all power and leverage. Anyway, so did we finish verse 8? That's it. That's what we're doing.
Verse 8.
Okay, now we're gonna go back on track with the topic. Let's do let's get back to actually the point of the verse.
Listen to future.
Did you want the 9 versus the actually will lose children? Because that was the point of this. How you
No, I don't want that. No, we'll go into that later because we'll have to come back on that point of the topic. Let's get 2 Ezra 16, verse 17 and 18.
This is a good class also because you're showing us how to view this conflict. Because a lot of times people look at the conflict. A lot of Israelites in general don't know how to look or judge this situation.
And listen, it might be complex. But listen, you got to dive into it. You have to really give your mind. If you really want to learn it, I'm going to say this. Do this after you have a grasp of the scriptures. Don't just do this and be this geopolitics guy because you ain't going to be able to focus on the book. But I know about Russia. Well, it's too late. You got to be able to teach color. Can you teach color before you teach Russia? Serious, bro. Yeah, exactly, like Rob. That's how you be sunning people out. I'll get you next week. And it's not going to be that. I'm telling you, Biden is mad because Xi Jinping don't meet him out. The funny thing is, there was a funny because Gavin Newsom, which is the mayor of California, he got to sit down with Xi Jinping. The mayor of California got to sit down with Xi Jinping, but Biden couldn't get it out. But I understand why, because Gavin Newsom has been paid off by China. How about them apples?
Yeah.
Most of the West, the China runs the West.
Yeah.
They paid off all those guys in the West. And China has all the access to the Western ports. So yeah, he's cool with good old Gavin Newsom. We do deals. I didn't give you money so you can turn a blind eye when I send my troops over there. When I send my weaponry over there. When I send my infrastructure over there. Yeah, that's the game. That's what's going on, bro. So, give me verse 2 Ezra 16, verse 17 and 18.
Come. 2 Ezra chapter 16 and verse 17 through 18 says, Woe is me! Woe is me! Who will deliver me in those days?
Who will deliver me in those days? Read on.
Come. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings. The beginning of famine and great death. The beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come?
This has been a gradual escalation of fear and famine and death and destruction. And what's going to happen when the trigger is literally pulled? We've been explaining, everybody's been setting up for the big move. You have warplanes, you have ships, you have soldiers. Like I said, the United States sent 50 envoys, not the warships, but it was 50 supply planes worth of men, weaponry, artillery, the whole nine. They're gearing up. So what's going to happen when this thing actually escalates? Okay? So we're going to let this go and jump to Joel chapter 3, verse 1 through 2 to start kind of getting an idea of why we talked about this being the valley of decision, or the valley of Jehoshaphat. Joel chapter 3, verse 1 and 2.
Joel chapter 3, verse 1.
I got to get there. Give me 1 second. I'm moving slow. Yep, let's do it.
Joel chapter 3, verse 1. For, behold, in those days and in that time.
This is talking about a future prophecy. Read on.
When I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem.
So he's like, at the time when Judah and Jerusalem is not going to be in power for the 1,000th damn time in the future, this is what's going to happen. Read on.
I will also gather all nations.
We've been reading about this gathering process. We read about it in Joel 2 and 20. Wow. We read about it in 2 Ezra 15, 2 Ezra 16, Revelations chapter 9. Do you start seeing the pattern of the gathering of the nations? All the nations are going to be getting gathered in Eurasia. This is what the gathering is. Okay? This is that hotbed where all the hostilities are going to sit back here and escalate. Read, thank you, sir. Read on.
And will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
So we're going to bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Read on.
And will plead with them there.
So he's going to plead with all of these nations in this proverbial valley. We're going to explain what this valley is. Read on.
For my people and for my heritage Israel.
So they don't even realize that the Most High is pleading with all these nations, dealing with all these nations. When the Most High is going to plead with you face to face, that means destruction's coming. He says, now Israel is going to sit back here and get defended for all the hostilities that you people, all of them, did to Israel. Because when Ishmael had their time, they took advantage of us too. Listen, there were major slave trades, west coast of Africa and the east coast of Africa. Our people were major markets across the world, taking advantage of from that time on. So for all those atrocities all around the world, this is the reckoning time. So, read on.
Whom they have scattered among the nations, and parted my land.
Exactly. How Esau's been parting our land and parting all the land, and how they're going to manipulate and use the people and take advantage of their natural resources. Because of all of those foul, wicked actions is why the fighting is going to be in this area called the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Now let's quickly go into what this Valley of Jehoshaphat is. Let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 18. Verse 1 through 16.
2 Chronicles chapter 18, verse 1.
Let me get it real quick, sir. 2 Chronicles chapter 18, verses 1 through 16. Read that, sir.
Now Jehoshaphat had riches and honor in abundance.
Now we're talking about Jehoshaphat. If you don't remember him, he was the king of the southern kingdom of Judah. He was a righteous king, but his major flaw was that he kept intermingling himself with the wicked king Ahab from the northern kingdom. He kept doing all these business deals, and what he did is he married off his son to Jezebel's daughter. Okay? So this is where it says, read verse 18 from the top. I mean verse 1 from the top.
Come. Now Jehoshaphat had riches and honor in abundance, and joined affinity with Ahab.
When he joined the affinity is we're connecting families now. This is the beginning of the end for the southern kingdom when he married his son off, his firstborn son off, to Jezebel's daughter. That was when you joined affinity. Okay? That was the beginning of the end for Judah, to be honest. Read on.
And after certain years, he went down to Ahab to Samaria. And Ahab killed sheep and oxen for him in abundance.
So he went up to Samaria, which is the capital city of the northern kingdom. So they're sitting back here and doing their deals, showing their love, showing their affinity, being connected, trying to unite the north to the south. The problem was the south was wicked and the north was still righteous and upright. Read on.
And for the people...
I'm sorry, Shalaki. The north was wicked, which is the northern kingdom of Israel. The south was righteous at the time, or at least God-fearing, with the leadership, with Jehoshaphat. Read on, sir.
And for the people that he had with him, and persuaded him to go up with him to Ramoth Gilead.
So listen, King Ahab had real issues with the king of Syria. The king of Syria was troubling the northern kingdom because the northern kingdom was wicked. So Ahab was like, listen, Jehoshaphat, can you bring your soldiers from the south to assist me in this war with these pesky dams? The Syrians were the top power of the area, of the land. Okay? Read on.
And Ahab, king of Israel, said unto Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, wilt thou go with me to Ramoth Gilead?
So it's not necessarily about the literal city of Ramoth Gilead, because Ramoth Gilead, present day, is the country of Jordan. Okay, Jordan is the country east of the Jordan River. Okay, in present day Israel, you got Israel, and you have the Jordan River, and then you have the country Jordan to the right of it. It's like where the but Manasseh, Gad, Reuben were, Moab and Edom, that whole sector on the right side, that's where present day Jordan is. Ramoth Gilead was the northern part of that area. So it's not about literal Ramoth Gilead. But what the question is should we go up and fight Syria?
So we go into this war.
That's the point. The valley of Jehoshaphat is the valley of decision. Let's counsel and deliberate as to are we going to have what it takes to sit back here and enter into this war with the Syrian people. And how you know it's Syria is because the first thing the United States said is, listen, the Hamas are a problem. They're in Gaza, but we're going at Syria. We're going at the Iranians in Syria. That's the first thing that's being talked about in the news. It ain't about sending all these fleets to Hamas. That's like, you realize Hamas is like 30 miles north and south? 30 miles. That's like from here to damn that's not even going to damn San Marcos. San Marcos is like 40 miles, right?
That's a marathon, huh?
30 miles is nothing. 30 miles?
Yeah, that's nothing, huh?
That's like North Star, bro. That's a little further. I'm talking about, it's like going to damn Ingram. That's like Ingram. That's nothing.
It's Lotus.
Okay, Helotes.
Yeah.
Helotes. For the truckers, they know. Okay, from here to Helotes. That's not that big of a thing, huh? And east-west is like 5 to 10 miles. East-west. So you're not sitting back here bringing all of this munitions and weaponry and 50 warships for a country that's sitting back here fighting in damn lawnmower hand gliders. That's not the damn thing. That's not the damn deal. That's not what's hot in the street. They got to go with Syria. And then they got to go with Iran. Then they got to go with Iraq. No, listen. They got to go to Syria, Iraq, then Iran. They got to go back through that territory. That's where you bring the heavy machinery and guns in. So what this is still about was the question and the deliberation about what it's going to take to win this war against the Syrian Empire. Read on in Chronicles.
And he answered him, I am as thou art, and my people as thy people.
So Jehoshaphat is like, okay, Ahab, I'm with you. I'll send our men out there. Let's do it. Read on.
And we will be with thee in the war.
So Jehoshaphat shown that fealty to Ahab in the northern kingdom. Read on.
Verse 4. And Jehoshaphat said unto the king of Israel, Inquire, I pray thee, at the word of the Lord today.
So he says, listen, if we're going to do it, I want to make sure the Most High is behind this and is going to back this move. Okay? Read on.
Therefore the king of Israel gathered together of prophets for 400 men, and said unto them, Shall we go to Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall I forbear?
So once again, even from October 7th to October 30th, what has this been? A deliberation.
Mm-hmm.
We're counseling. We're talking. We're going back and forth. We're making sure, is this the right move? How are we going to go about taking out Hamas in one fell swoop, going across the land, taking Syria that we wanted from the first place, and then come back down and keep breaking Iran? Maybe double back and take out Hezbollah. How are we going to go about this? This is the question that's happening now. This is an aspect of the valley of the decision. Does this mean this is the end? It could be more escalation down the line, but you have to explain the trend of thinking that lines in with prophecy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Instead of sitting back here and focusing on dates, months, and years, you have to focus on the event or the thinking behind the moves. The feeling and the pulse of the area and the region, and why there is a need to go at this region. So what you're reading in the 2 Chronicles 18 is about the deliberations about what is this the right move? Is this going to be a successful campaign? How can the objectives be accomplished? What needs to get done to get this accomplished? So now, spiritually, Jehoshaphat's like, let's get these prophets in to get a confirmation before we sit back here and just be dying for nothing. Because Jehoshaphat was a man that served the Lord. Let's continue.
And they said, Go up, for the Most High will deliver it into the king's hand.
So all the 400 prophets like, hell yeah. But they were a bunch of yes men anyway.
Yeah.
Those 400 prophets weren't real prophets. The priests were already kicked out of the area. So it was a bunch of yes men saying yes, it's going to work out. Read on.
For Jehoshaphat said, Is there not here a prophet of the Lord besides, that we might inquire of him?
Is there a real guy out here that's going to give me some real breakdowns, Zach? You could tell for 400 yes men, it didn't sound right. It sounded fishy as hell out. And like, is there a real prophet? Can you please stand up and give me some real bars that I can sit back here and listen to? Read on.
And the king of Israel said unto Jehoshaphat, There is yet one man by whom we may inquire of the Lord. But I hate.
You hate him because you know what? He ain't giving you the good news you want to hear.
Good news, man.
I hate this guy because he always tells me bad news. Keep it strong. Stay on top. I got to let you go because this is a lot of reading. I need you to be sharp on this. Read on.
For he never prophesied good unto me, but always evil.
Always meaning he's telling you the truth. Read on.
The same as Micaiah, the son of Imlah. And Jehoshaphat said, Let not the king say so.
He said, don't sit back here and say, I don't want to deal with him. I want to hear that guy. I want to hear Micaiah. Read on.
Verse 8. And the king of Israel called for one of his officers and said, Fetch quickly Micaiah, the son of Imlah. And the king of Israel and Jehoshaphat, king of Judah, sat either of them on his throne, clothed in their robes.
And so when you hear about Jehoshaphat, people think it's a region, but the scriptures have been telling you the region the entire time. We went over the first Joel 2, 2 Ezra 15, Revelations 9, 2 Ezra 16. That's the region. The region is already clearly painted out. The question is, when is it going to happen? And the issue is the deliberation about when it's going to happen and how they're going to go about taking out the region. Yes, I?
Still talking about the entire region between the Med and the Sea of Japan.
But yes, between the Mediterranean and the Sea of Japan. Because you still have to look at it, how do I destabilize the country? I have to, listen, Iran has been supplying Russia with all of those drones. Drones has revolutionized warfare. I can sit back here. Listen, it's drones and reconnaissance. The reconnaissance, both of these countries, United States, Russia, they have top of the line reconnaissance. They can strategically go where they want to go and blow you up. Russia can save a lot of men if they know exactly where to bomb. Exactly. Listen, either the drones are suicide drones, or the drones will sit back and fly right over you, and they'll drop this bomb canister. I don't know if you've seen them online. You'll have these Ukrainians in their foxholes, and they're in there and they're doing their thing, and then there's an aerial view of this drone flying right over it, bro, and it just drops this damn little small canister, and then all the guys, there's no sound on the video. It just drops right into the hole. And then everybody, they're moving around. It's still looking like little ants moving around. And then when it falls, like, bah! And 4 or 5 guys are dead. You don't have to sit back and do crazy firefights.
Airplanes go over and stuff like that.
You don't even have to have men go in there and go into these fire holes and fight them. You can just drop some stuff down. You're cutting your casualty level in half. And these guys are sitting ducks because they got to hold their positions. Or they'll sit back here. I saw men in a building, and the access point was like a tunnel. And they showed an image of this damn drone going in like this. And then the men saw it, and they got scared as hell, and they went into the tunnel. And the drone just followed them into the tunnel. And then all you saw was like, pow! You know they're dead, Ak! You're done. I would have been like, don't go in the tunnel. Get the hell out of there. Why go in the tunnel? That's my point. That's a death trap. Is they're killing people in these tunnels, Ak? But that came courtesy of Iran. So like, these dudes are giving us problems. We got to cut off Russia's ties with Iran. We got to cut off China's ties with Iran. China's ties with Russia. They're too strong in this region. We got to break them up. This is the thinking. And this is why the war is here and the deliberation is here. How do we break them up? How do we go to war and split them without being the bad guy? People aren't paying attention to the details. They're not realizing that they're bringing 50 warships to the Mediterranean and X amount of warships to Persian Gulf. What they're going to hear is Iranians bombed some territory, a United States Air Force base or naval base, so now we got to go to war. and all of a sudden there's going to be war. But the question is this: did war just start, or did they prepare the entire region with their military personnel, and then all of a sudden, Iranian ain't been bombing nobody the whole time, and now there's a bomb all of a sudden after all the guys are in position to fight? Isn't that kind of fishy?
Yeah.
It takes 30 days to get all the personnel here, and then the Iranians blow something up. If you was gonna blow something up, do it before. That's how you know it's a false flag. But you're gonna hear in the news about somebody doing something, whether it's Hamas, it's Syria, it's Iran, is gonna attack a base, and that's gonna be why they got to go to war. This is what you're looking for. This is what that valley of decision is. We're going to talk about what are the ways we need to go about fighting this war and getting started, getting this thing going. Let's continue.
And they sat in a void place at the entering of the gate of Samaria. And all the prophets prophesied before them. And Zedekiah, the son of Chenaanah, had made him horns of iron, and said, Thus saith the Lord, with these thou shalt push Syria until they be consumed.
Israel, because those horns were made, I thought, oh man, that means it's going to work. Yeah. I had to get like visuals.
Yeah.
Israel needs visuals. So this guy made visual horns to represent the fact that Syria's going to get pushed back, which is a false prophet though. Read on.
Verse 11. And all the prophets prophesied so, saying, Go up to Ramoth Gilead and prosper, for the Lord shall deliver it into the hand of the king.
Mm-hmm.
And the messenger that went to call Micaiah spake to him, saying, Behold, the words of the prophets declare good to the king with one accent. Let thy word, therefore, I pray thee, be like one of theirs, and speak thou good. And Micaiah said, As the Lord liveth, even what my power saith, that will I speak.
So now you know he's going to keep it real right now. Huh? Read on.
So that will I speak.
Yeah. Whatever the Most High tells you, I'm going to give it to him. Read on.
Verse 14.
So listen, the messenger said, the guy that brought him out of jail said, hey man, everybody's voting yes to war. You need to vote yes to war. Micaiah's like, man, I'm going to speak what the Most High tells me to speak at. You know, he's like, damn it, there's going to be some problems here, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's keep going.
And when he was come to the king said unto him, Micaiah, shall we go to Ramoth Gilead to battle, or shall I forbear? And he said, Go ye up and prosper, and they shall be delivered into your hand.
So listen, obviously how he said it didn't make him think he was being completely honest.
He was being sincere.
It must not have sounded sincere for the response we read after this. Read on.
And the king said to him, How many times shall I adjure thee that thou say nothing but the truth to me in the name of the Lord?
So Ahab was like, man, you got to tell the truth. I know you're faking it. Read on.
Verse 16.
He like, you're going to win, King Ahab. Everything's going to be okay.
Great sarcasm.
Go forth. Go forth. They're like, man, I know this guy's lying.
Yeah.
Read on.
Then he said, I did see all Israel scattered upon the mountains, and sheep that have no shepherd. And the Lord said, These have no master. Let them return, therefore, every man to his house.
That sounds bad right there, bro.
And everybody's going to get an L. All the captains and generals is gone. No master. There's no king no more.
Yeah. No shepherd.
You don't go. There's no master.
Yeah.
There's no king. The king got killed. He got bloody.
That's a hell of a prophecy right
there. Yeah. So you're going to take
an
an L.
you?
If you go out there, you're going to take an L. The crazy thing is what was so dirty about it is they still went to war. And Ahab switched clothes and made Jehoshaphat wear the king's clothes out. It was a setup out. Anyway, that's dirtbag stuff, but let's keep going. I want to stay on topic. Read on.
Verse 17. And the king of Israel said to Jehoshaphat, Did I not tell thee that he would not prophesy good unto me, but evil?
Yeah, because the Most High ain't with you. And he's with the minority, not the majority. Well, let's keep going.
Again, he said, Therefore, hear the word of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the Lord sitting upon
I'm sorry. I'm going too far. I don't want to go through the whole chapter. But from verse 1 to verse 16 is letting you know that the deliberation about Jehoshaphat, or with Jehoshaphat, is should we go to war or not? And is this campaign going to be a success or not? And that was what this was about. And that's what this Valley of Jehoshaphat in Joel 3 is about. Oh, we're gonna is this campaign in the Middle East this time going to be successful or not? When in 2001, I'm sorry, 2001, 91, all those campaigns were very successful. This one is not going to be successful. All the tide has turned. Even in 2001, Russia was just starting to try to get themselves back into power and get economically stable once Yeltsin got booted out of office. So Russia wasn't in a position to be in the power in 2001. They fell in 1991. Now it's 2023. Russia is the top military in the world. China is a global power. You got India as a global power.
Way different.
Saudi Arabia is not in dire need of United States money and backing. Nobody needs the United States anymore. This is a different circumstance. So the question that they're deliberating in from October 7th, probably before that, how can we sit back here and switch gears on this Ukraine war with Russia and still reach the same objective of dominating the Eurasian region? The Eurasian region. Say that 10 times. It's hard. The Eurasian region. That's the challenge. That's the question. That's the decision that's being talked about right now. That's why you don't see full-fledged war on the screen. Okay, let that go and go back to Joel 3. No, give me verse 2, and then we're going to go to verse 9.
Joel chapter 3, verse 2.
Read that.
I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
Mm-hmm.
And
He's going to bring him down in this valley. He's going to bring him down into this location that's been talked about this entire class today. And the decision, he's bringing him down, and the deliberation is about how we're going to bring him down, reconnaissance, how we're going to break this country in pieces. Read on.
And will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, and parted my land.
Give me verse 9.
Verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles.
So now this is still about, this is a Gentile-based war. Just like World War I was a Gentile-based war, World War II was a Gentile-based war. The Third World War is going to be in the Middle East, a Gentile-based war. Read on.
Prepare war.
He's like, this is the theme of this Valley of Jehoshaphat. All these Gentile nations get ready to go to war. United States, NATO, everybody back in the United States, get ready to fight here. All the Arab nations, all the Arab countries, they're slowly coming together. Jordan is backing Hamas, or backing the Palestinians. Not the Hamas. Egyptians are backing the Palestinians. The Israelis, the IDF, told the Palestinians to leave Gaza and go to Egypt. The Egyptian president said, no, we're going to block off the roadway of you guys going to Egypt, because we know this. Once 2 million Palestinians leave Palestine, they're never going to be allowed back. So we're not going to sit back and let them leave, because these Israelis are going to sit back and lock up the area, bulldoze it, destroy it, and take it for their own land. So we're not going to let this happen. So all the Arab countries are starting to come into solidarity in their support of Palestine. You have obviously Palestinian riders sitting back here protesting in Dallas, in France, all in Europe, in Chicago, and so forth and so on. The Arab world is coming together. And all it's going to take is the Sunnis and the Shiites, which are the two different major factions of Arabs, to come together, and they're going to turn and hunker down against the United States and against Israel. It's coming. So the Most High is like, all these Gentile nations, prepare war. Read on.
Wake up the mighty men.
Get your armies ready. Read on.
Let all the men of war draw near.
This is why Turkey is being dragged into this as well. Turkey's getting dragged into this. Iraq's getting dragged into this. Syria, Iran, Egypt, Libya. The whole Arab world is getting dragged into this. Read on.
Let them come up.
He says, let them come up. This is why we read about Turkey. 100 warships are coming into the Mediterranean. Everybody's gearing up with the best they got. Read on.
Verse 10. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong.
Even like you said, man, I didn't even know Turkey had that many ships. Let the weaker nations come in and get ready to fight. Whether it's Hamas, Hezbollah, they don't have the power that these other major nations have. They have a little something, but not on the scale of the United States. Even the smaller countries, most is like, bring all the smaller countries with their ammunitions and their war men, Jordan, all these guys, get them ready. Read on.
Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat.
Let the heathen be wakened. Wakened from their slumber. Wakened from who their enemy really is. All these countries around are starting to see what Iran has been seeing. They're starting to see what Iraq has been seeing. Everybody sees the stink of this country rising up. And they've been waiting for an opportunity to get back at the Israelis. They've been waiting for this time. Bring all these people up in this valley of decision. And everybody right now is deciding on how much they have, what's their military presence in the region, how many men can we sit back here and mobilize, where's our weaponry at, what can we do to damage our enemy. That is what's happening right now. While people are sipping Mai Tais and drinking beer every damn day long, and hanging out having fun, and dancing, and partying, dancing. But let's keep going.
It says, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about.
And you can just see how, you can just smell world war happening. And we still got Russia in the wings, waiting. They have enough men to mobilize on multiple fronts. They already have a Russian military base in Syria. They're ready too. Read on.
Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes, in the valley of decision.
And this is where it says the valley of decision. This is what the valley of Jehoshaphat is. The multitudes are in the valley of decision. The place where legitimate decisions about war escalation is being had. Read on.
For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision.
The valley of decision. That is the valley of decision. The area from the Mediterranean to the East Sea. Read on.
The sun and the moon shall be darkened. The stars shall withdraw their shining.
When you sit back and look on the screen, that's a very small image of what's going to happen all in the region. Bombs, destruction, smoke. When the smoke is at a high level, what are you going to get? The sun and the moon is going to be darkening. Okay? The stars shall withdraw from shining. There's 100 pictures on the internet about how the Gaza looks after all the bombing. It's dust, it's dirt, it's smoke everywhere. You can't see the light, you can't see the stars, you can't see the sun, you can't see the moon. So it's going to be the bombing and the destruction from these bombs is where this place is coming. So when he says the sun and the moon darkening, that's from all the bombs. Before we even get to the thermonuclear destruction. Listen, that ain't even the greatest image. I just want to pick one up so you can kind of have an idea of the smoke covering the entire territory. So all you see is smoke and bombs in the air, bomb residue in the air. Okay? No, we're done on 16. We're going to let that go. And we're going to go real quick to, let's go to 2 Ezra 15 and 28.
Come. 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 28.
Matter of fact, I want to do this right now. Yeah. 15 verse 28 through 33.
Come. 2 Ezra chapter 15 and verse 28. Behold,
Now so far we really haven't focused on Iran in the scriptures. We've read about Syria, we've read about Lebanon, we've read about all the way to the East Sea as a border, and read about the Mediterranean. Okay, now we want to kind of focus a little bit on Iran to show that Iran is a major part of this situation also, and the reason they're going to Syria is to break Iran. Okay, there are Iranian bases in Syria protecting the Syrian interest in their own land. Okay, so with that, let's read 2nd Ezra chapter 15, verse 28 through 33.
come. 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 28. Behold, an horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east.
Horrible vision and an appearance from the east. Read on.
Where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots.
He says, this is the vision of the dragons of Arabia, which is the Arab nations coming together in their chariots, their weaponry, their wartime machines, their bombs, their tanks. This is happening at the end also, where all the Arab nations are going to come together with their weaponry that they've been storing up. Iran's been storing up weapons for decades since they've been on sanctions. Sanctions don't even affect Iran at this point. Read on.
And the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth.
I mean, they're going to be moving from one place to another very swiftly. And that's already been happening because the Iranians have been funding and supplying Hezbollah with weapons. Now, it's rumored the United States wants to say that the Iranians have been supplying Hamas with their weapons, but it's not proven. We do know Iran for sure has backed Hezbollah, and Iran for sure has protected Syria. Okay, read on.
That all they which hear them may fear and tremble.
So when you start hearing about Iran's name getting thrown out there, just know it's time to fear and tremble, because it's gonna name drop Iran right now. Verse 30.
Verse 30. Also the Carmanians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood.
I don't know about your country folk, but when you see wild boars in the wood, what do? You better have some gas, bro. You better get there. You better have high ground and some gas. Oh man, those things is no joke. I don't want no part of them boars. And they're in large groups. If you're on the ground, it's over. They're munching.
They'll charge you.
I know that.
They're
not afraid. So he says these Carmanians are going to be like these wild boars in the wood. They're not afraid. They're coming at you. Now listen, we're going to show an image of the Carmanian land. I'm trying to find out the right one. Now listen, this is kind of a foggy image. But Carmania, first of all, this map is the map of the Persian Empire. Okay? That's important to know. Persian Empire at their height. Now you look at the south near the Arabian Sea and the Persian Gulf. You look up to the right is Carmanians. Okay? The Carmanians, I'm moving around like people can see it. But the Carmanians, you'll see like Persian Gulf, and you'll see Persia, P-E-R-A-J-E. Then to the right of that is Carmanians. Carmanians is a people of Persian descent. And if you look at it, this is literally where Iran is on the map. Iran is right off the Persian Gulf. It runs right along the east of the Persian Gulf. So when you read about the Carmanians being like raging boars in the wood, something like these Iranians are going to be the ones that get pulled into this war, and they're going to be like raging boars in the wood coming for war. They've been sitting back here and biting at the chopping at the bit since the damn 80s, 70s with Ayatollah Khomeini. They know the United States has been trying to take out Iran since the 70s. So they're ready to sit back here and go to war with the United States and Israel. These are facts. Now I'm going to show you another image of Khomeini. Hopefully this is a better one. This is better, but it's in that same region. You see Persian Gulf, then you look up, it's Persis, and then Carmania is to the right of it. That Carmania area is what's being talked about in 2nd Ezra. You're not going to read Iran, You're going to read the landmass in the area that were the Carmanians. Okay? So, read verse 30 again.
Come.
2nd Ezra 15 and verse 30.
Come. 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 30. Also, the Carmanians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the woods.
It's still this territory that they're all fighting and contesting over. He's like, the Carmanians are going to sit back here and go on the attack. What is going to pull them into attack mode? He's telling you all the fighting is going to be in Syria, Iraq, Turkey area, off the Euphrates. What's going to pull Iran to the Euphrates? What's going to pull them there? It's going to be United States agitation. They're already saying reports that the United States is already has on a low level been bombing Iranian outposts, military outposts in Syria as we speak. So when they sit back here and put full boots on ground, they're going at Syria, and that's Iran's major ally. They're going to come in and sit back and send their troops. All this is going to get worse when the Carmanians come in, when the Iranians come in. This is what you're looking for when you know the shit's going to get really bad. Yes,
Is that President Assad, is he still in Syria?
In Syria. President Assad, that family line's been kings in that area for at least 2 or 3 generations.
He's evil. He's evil, right?
No. See, that's what they tell you. This guy just wants his land and sovereignty for his land.
But I thought he got with the Russians and let them in on his people and was bombing the cities in Syria.
No. You know why he called Syria? You know why he called Putin? Because they were going to take him out and kill him and put rebar up his butt like they did Gaddafi. Because that's what they did to Gaddafi. They were going to do the same thing to Assad. He said, man, I need your help, Russia. They came down and backed all those protesters up. They backed them off. Don't forget, these were initiated coups.
Yeah, it wasn't like some accidental.
Right.
There is a reason George Soros is banned from China. You know that he's one to set up that Tiananmen Square thing in the 80s.
Oh, really?
That was him. Yes. They funded those students to sit up and set up that false flag in China. China caught it and cut it quick and said, "You're no longer allowed here. You and your thugs, get out of here."
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to know what's going on
that's the point.
TV.
Because we're watching CNN and MSNBC and all that crap. That's the point. Yeah. Listen, they were attacking Assad during the Arab Spring because they wanted this oil in this territory. And they wanted a foothold closer to Iran. So Iran came to help them. Russia came to help them to sustain order in Syria. And it's crazy. The Israelis, ever since then, have been bombing Syria left and right. Syria's constantly getting bombed.
I thought it was the Russians going.
No, they got a base on the western tip of Syria to protect them. But Syria's getting bombed by Israel all the time. That's why this has been a gradual thing building up.
Yeah, all the time, man.
Listen, Israel's always bombing them. The United States has got a military base in there causing problems, allowing ISIS, allowing Hamas to tear at them. They're using them to fight the Syrians.
Once again, I thought it was to destabilize that area.
Yes.
And to throw it into chaos.
Yes. So America can come in and get all the oil and all the natural resources. All the United States was able to get was the eastern side of Syria. They want all of it. They can only get the east side. And there's literal camera footage of 30 to 40 ships with oil driving on the road, leaving Syria. They're just snatching oil month to month. They're taking grain and wheat during the harvest season and sending it back home or selling it on the market.
And I thought Assad was evil, just letting all this shit happen to his cities in Syria.
Bro, Syria is war torn and half is blown up and destroyed, but it ain't his fault. It's like in his mind, I got half of it. And without Russia and Iran, I'd have none of it.
Then I'd probably lose my life.
I'd be dead, and it'd be on TV. It'd be world star moment.
Like they did
Gaddafi. I know. They did him dirty.
That was dirty, man.
And he treated his people right. And now They're sitting back. There's slavery in Libya.
Yeah, destabilize the whole area, and them people.
But if it's destabilized, I can come in and get the natural resources now.
Yeah.
That's the game. So once again, this is where we at in verse 30. Read verse 30 again.
2nd Ezra chapter 15 and verse 30. Also, the Carmanians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood.
They're raging in wrath because of all the fighting, all the destroying of their territory, all the destroying of their interest, the attacking of Hezbollah, the attacking of Syria, the embargoes and the sanctions on Iran. They're ready to get them. And their technology is close to having nuclear weapons. And they have other weapons they can sit back and use at their disposal. Read on.
And with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians.
They're going to waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. They're going to sit back and tear up northern Iraq. There's going to be wars in northern Iraq in the midst of this scenario. Don't forget, why is there going to be wars in northern Assyria? I'm going to show you why there's going to be wars in the northern part of Assyria. Look online. Look at all the military bases in Iraq. They're going to sit back here and go to war in Iraq with United States forces. This is why they're going to sit back here and lay waste to northern Assyria. Northern Assyria is present-day Iraq. So Iran's going to go to war not with the Iraqi people, but with the United States military in Iraq. That's what they're going to be doing. Because, listen, Iran's going to have to sit back here and deal with the United States Navy in the Persian Gulf and the boots on ground in Iraq. That's why I said Iran's going to be moving forward like a wild boar. They're going to be sitting back here sending weapons to protect Syria, their interests in Syria, and they got to sit back and deal with that bear with these United States military in Iraq. This is going to get bad. It just hasn't escalated yet. That's why we were trying to wait a couple weeks to see how this thing's going to play out. But prophecy is prophecy. So this is what you're looking for. Iranian mobilization. Boots on ground, wars in northern Iraq. Fighting starting and escalating in Syria. Lebanon, Hezbollah coming down and fighting Israel. These are the keys you're looking for to say, hey, how close are we to this end being happening? Let's not focus on what's happening with niggas in the hood. Let's figure out what's really going on in the world. All right? Continue.
Verse 31. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand.
The dragons, listen, the dragons of the east, the Persians, they are Persian, but the Iranians and the Arab war is going to have the upper hand in these wars. But the death toll is going to be out of this world. He said a third of man's going to die in this region. Read on.
Remembering their nature.
Mm-hmm.
And
listen, Ishmael's a what? A wild man. They're going to be going crazy as hell. Blowing themselves up. Missiles. It's going to be all hell breaking loose in that region. If you got a kid that's thinking about being a Navy guy or Army guy, don't do it. Reconsider. I'm not going to say the other thing I want to say. Read some literature. Get out. Don't do it. Listen to class. Don't go to that area. Don't do it. But keep going. Let's go.
And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them.
All the Arab world is going to conspire against Esau, the NATO forces, and the Israelis. Read on.
Then these shall be troubled and keep silence through their power, and shall flee.
Read on.
And from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them and consume some of them, and in their host shall be fear and dread.
Listen, it ain't like it's going to be some one-sided TV movie. Iran's going to take major damage by the United States from their military hubs. United States still has long-range missiles. When you sit back here, Iran might have their guidance systems too. But if you're shooting out 10 to 15 bombs, someone's dropping. They're not all going to get stopped in the air. It's like Russia. Russia was sitting back here and they were degrading Ukraine's defense systems. So what they'll do is they were sending their long-range missiles. They were sending their Iranian what do you call those things?
Drones.
Their drones. They were sending drones, bombs, all together and confusing the systems. So they're shooting. They're going 30, 40 bombs. You might stop 10, 15. 25 are hitting. So they're saying, listen, these bombs are going to hit Iran. They're going to hurt their people. A lot of people are going to die on both ends. Read on.
And strife among their kings.
Come. Read on.
Come. That's it.
That's it. We're going to leave that verse at that point because it's kind of, once again, now we're drawing in the Iranians. We've gone Lebanon. Obviously, we've gone Syria. We've talked about Turkey. We've talked about Iran. We've talked about Iraq. That's the region. That's the hotbed where all the fighting and the wars are going to be. Like I said, we'll go into more maybe next week if it suits. But we'll see. For now, I think we'll stop with that. This is how you know where the fight is going to escalate. And the valley of decision is the question, do we have enough to finish these guys off? Let's get all of our weaponry and our planes and our ships and our warships ready to go to attack this place. So that's what you're looking for as this situation in the Middle East continues to escalate. With that, we're going to shut it down. Yeah, I'm sorry. What you got?
I couldn't ask the question at the time, but speaking of when you were reading about the angel that drops the vial in is it the Euphrates?
Yeah.
Isn't that supposed to dry up? And when it dries up, some demons are supposed to come out?
It's just war, bro. It's just war. It's just war. I'm not saying because the Euphrates is drying up as we speak.
Right, and I
but
saw it too.
It's not like demon, like we got to kind of take it out of that context and see for what it is. It's the spirits are getting let loose, and you're thinking about those unclean spirits. We'll go into that another time. That's Revelation 16, but it's still war, propaganda, lies, all the things that's fueling the war.
It says that shall destroy 2/3 of men.
Yes, but this is what we have to look. The point is, we need to be vigilant and take this serious. It might not hit the United States like we think. So we better be in the book, working on ourselves. We do not know how much time we have left. All right, y'all? You get another one?
Last one.
Yes.
And isn't tribulation supposed to come before the Most High comes down?
This is what we were talking about. The tribulation is already here.
This is the tribulation.
Yes. Listen, just because you might not feel the full brunt of it doesn't mean it ain't here. The people in the Middle East are feeling it.
Right, right.
People in Ukraine are feeling it. People around the world are feeling it. People in Africa are feeling it. Does it got to hit every single person to feel it? Maybe, maybe not. That's the point.
And then, last one is the mark.
You sure it's the last one?
Yeah, mark of the beast.
We ain't going to that right now. That's too much. We're not going to that right now.
But shouldn't that come before?
The mark of the beast is knowledge. It's how you think. All these guys with these rainbow shirts, man, they've made it. They got a mark on them right now, don't they? They're walking around on TikTok and being all weird. Isn't that a mark? A mark is how you think.
But he says specifically.
But every generation, every generation has their.
You know, Mosai said in Ezekiel 9, mark those that sigh and cry for the abominations thereof. Was that marking a stamp on their hands? No. The mark was. Mark the guys who are trying to serve the Most High. Mark the people who ain't. Everybody looking for this goddamn computer chip. That's a damn that's a trap. It might not get to that.
Well, they got it going on already. Some people
they do. I'm not saying it's not in somewhat effect, but everybody's looking for that.
Well, it could be something.
But the mark, listen, the mark for sure is indoctrination. That's a fact too. A mark is how you think. The mark is a lifestyle you chosen. Now there might be something physical. Now Kawakab has talked about some other things that are part of the mark of the beast, and I agree with him. But it starts with the thinking, and it starts with the buying in of this culture and this society. Right. It starts with that. Now, we can sit back and debate if there are any more physical things that have to connect with the thinking, but it starts with the thinking. So it's in the forehead and in the wrist. The forehead represents your mind. So that mark is in your thinking. That is unquestioned, undoubtable. Now, what might happen with the exterior of your body is debatable. But the point is, people are already choosing their sides about what to believe in and what not to believe in. Most people don't even want to believe in the Most High anymore. They've made their choice. Let's make sure we work on what's inside of us to make sure our calling and election is sure. And that's where we're going to leave it at. Listen, shalom everybody. For taking the time. I know we kind of pushed over class, but had to do it. Y'all take care. Shalom.